Yo. Let's crush it today, guys. I mean, serious business. I even brought out Jabba the Hutt. So we're not messing around today. It looks like after what was a pretty poor day yesterday, we have Amazon making up for everything today, bringing the entire market higher. Let's just take a look here real quick. We'll switch this again. Not the best day yesterday in the markets. Probably scared a few people. Me, I went on walks and enjoyed my Halloween. I hope you guys had a good time too. But if we look today, the situation looks a little different. I would say Amazon is a key contributor to that. I just realized I use my left hand all the time, so you're not even gonna like see Java. Let me see here. All right, there we go. Hot as shit. Woo, that chai latte is warm today. But yeah, I think Amazon crushing earnings is going to be very hospitable to the markets today. We also have a ton of data coming back. Unemployment rate in Mexico dropped to 2.9%. That's fascinating. Let's just go back here and we'll look at a bunch of other stuff. We've got about 12 minutes until we get just a slew of jobs-related data and other stuff in the United States. Let's take a look here. Mexican unemployment down to 2.9%. I mean, unemployment in Mexico is pretty low. Pretty low. If we go out max here, you can see that the last, since like 2023, something like that, we've been hitting record lows that we haven't seen in unemployment rates since like 2005, arguably 2002 in Mexico. So I'd say their economy is doing pretty good. Good morning. Good morning, Justin. Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Maytag. RJ, Don, NG, everybody. Good morning, guys. Love you guys. Hope you're having a good day. Let's see. RJ Cohen, does anyone else hit the like button before Jesse gets here? I appreciate you doing it. I appreciate you very much, sir. Am I delayed? I put the wrong time. Sorry about that, guys. I put the wrong time this morning, but I am here. All right, India. Let's look real quickly. Hong Kong sucks. CCP sucks. It just is what it is. Oh, we got Dan Niles talking tech earnings with Tesla. All right, segue. We're going to go to this real quick. I want to hear it. I just want to hear it. I want to hear it, and then we can get back to the other data. Let me just go back, though. I just want to hear what he has to say. All right, tech earnings giveaway. I actually want to back up. I want to see what he has to say about all of them. But definitely Tesla. 1 second here. Let me just get this lined up.
Cloud advertising and growth. All of the Magnificent Seven companies that have reported beat on the top and bottom lines except for Tesla, which missed revenue expectations.
I really hate CNBC sometimes, just how absolutely negative they are, how pro-Kamala and how negative they are towards people like Elon and Tesla.
Now is what he likes in big
It's like they figure out what slides they can show just to make Tesla look like shit.
tech. Dan Niles, Niles Investment Management, founder and portfolio manager, and always like having you on, Dan. And I'm trying to remember last time, I think there were certain members of the Magnificent Seven that you said, I don't really think I'd want to get ahead of the results this time. Do you remember which ones those were that you had some concerns about, and was it borne out?
Oh, I know Joe is. I'm just saying the slide. Like it's like people. Joe has to routinely succumb to the left in everything he does.
Yeah, I mean, we wrote a piece on Monday about what we thought would happen this week, and it pretty much turned out the way we expected, where Google came out first, did very well, set a very high bar for the...
Dario said, is the market going down because of elections? Is everyone afraid? I think the Chicago PMI was just horrific yesterday. But again, Chicago, California, New York, like there's a lot of liberal cities and regions of the country have not done well. The Rust Belt has not done well. The whole like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, those areas have been devastated historically for decades. Not just recently, but I mean, again, outsourcing and just getting rid of mining and just doing all these things have devastated the Rust Belt, which is why it's called that, right? And then you look more recently and what problems do they have now? Now they not only have lost all their jobs to overseas, but we're shipping the foreigners here to expedite the process. So I'd say that there's a lot of weirdness with elections right now, and again, there's a lot of weirdness with some of the economic data in certain regions of the country. Illegal immigration has not helped a lot of that either. And then the election, of course. I mean, we've had a massive run up because people have gotten excited about Trump getting into office. Now they're starting to go, will Democrats let him win? So I think it's pretty normal. I think it's pretty normal that we had. And if you just look from a technical standpoint, I mean, getting a pullback for a day is pretty normal in any bull market. I mean, it just is.
The rest of the companies to report. Then Meta came out, had solid results, but they always guide conservatively in the September quarter for the out year, and the stock sold off, which is what we expected it to do. And Microsoft, the guidance was a problem like we expected. The forward numbers went down for the second quarter in a row. Azure in particular, which is their cloud business, the guidance was poor there. And so that stock got really hit pretty hard. And then you get to yesterday where Apple went ahead and in the most anticipated cut, they guided the December quarter revenues to low to mid-single digit growth. People are looking for 7%. So that obviously went down again. And then Amazon was the real surprise to me, where e-commerce guidance was actually pretty strong, even though you have one less weekend this year between Thanksgiving and Christmas for people to go shopping. That didn't seem to matter. Business is really good for them. Our two favorites coming out of this, it's the same two favorites that we had going in, which is Meta and Amazon through the rest of this year.
I don't think you mentioned Tesla.
Chicken Bro says, Meet Kevin looked happy yesterday because of Chicago PMI data, giving all warnings to unemployment rate data today. Yeah, I think again, I think he's short. He's looking at the market through the lens of how he's invested, and that's dangerous. That is dangerous. Now, I'm invested in a way that I believe is the right way to be, and there's probably some of that too, but I actually try and look at each data point objectively, but then tie it into my thesis. I think he literally wants the market to go down so he can be right, which sucks. That's a shitty way to be.
So there, when I see other automakers for those environmental credits, is that a repeatable business? Is it a business? Is there a reason to celebrate?
See, they even have him shitting on Tesla.
Better than expected earnings because of things like that?
Yeah, I mean, Tesla for me, I'm a growth at a reasonable price investor, and it's very hard with over 100 PE for me to make a good risk reward case in the name, because people aren't really focused on that so much. They're looking at the optionality of what's in the future. And that's energy and storage, where it's about, less than 10% of revenues, but growing over 50% a year. You've got robo-taxis, you've got full self-driving over the next couple of years. And that's what people are really owning the stock for, Joe. It's not as much on the EV side. Obviously, that's the base business that gives them the money to fund all the rest of this. But yeah, I have the same concerns you do, because you do have the tax credits. Obviously,
I love this. So with a PE ratio over 100, it's 72. 72. Right? Am I looking at the right one? Let me see here. PE ratio, 72 on 1030. Probably lower. Well, I don't know if this includes the drop yesterday, but not quite 100. And this thing's been over 1,400. So, and the growth rate is far beyond anything that we're going to see from existing tech sector. But, and they're doing the most remarkable stuff on earth. But again, not this guy's investment style. I get it. He'll be in there later. And that face, woo, I stopped at a bad time.
Obviously, we have a election coming up in a few days. And depending on who ends up in charge, EV tax credits, et cetera, are going to change. But having said that, maybe Tesla's treated more fairly relative to the other car companies that have unions. So
68 is probably more accurate. It probably doesn't include the big drop yesterday. So 68, because that said 1030, right? So 1031, we got like a 3% drop. I'd say 68 is more accurate. But again, he's saying over 100. That's quite the disparity, right? 35, 40 points on a PE ratio. It's quite a big difference there.
We'll have to see what happens. Obviously, the election's going to matter for all of these big tech companies going forward. And the outcome of that, at least in the short term, And then we'll get back to business as normal, which is we'll go back to focusing on fundamentals for all of these names and for them.
Shut the fuck up. This guy's an idiot. I changed my mind. All right, Mario. Oh, did we do some jump? Oh, okay. Got retracted. All right, I'll read that later. Let's keep going. These analysts are sleeping on Tesla, only treating it as a car. I know, that's exactly what's happening here. It's just stupid. I'm sorry I even wasted your guys' time on that this morning. Let's jump back over and look at economic data. We do have that coming out. More data in 4 minutes, so let's just look here. Mario says, good morning, Jesse. My portfolio is in plain stocks boomed up ever since I started watching you and studying your charts. On Discord yesterday, I did process my first ever option. Thanks for all you do. You are welcome, man. Yeah, just keep it small and learn, because you can get wrecked on options. I've seen plenty of people have that happen to them, and it's happened to me before too. So just be smart. Morning, Ben. Morning, Alex. What's up, guys? All right, let's keep going. So bank loan growth in India year over year up 11.5%, previous 12.8. So we're seeing a deceleration. But I mean, look at this, guys. This is from levels of growth of 20.6%. So this is still good. It's slowing, but just the ramifications of this can keep that market going for a while. Deposit growth year over year, 11.2%. Again, still seeing lots of deposits. India's just doing well in every possible way. Foreign exchange reserves, it looks like they're going down a little bit. I don't think there's much to make out of that, though, since they've launched, quite a bit, even just since October of 2022. Probably not a lot of signal there. And like we said, the unemployment rate in Mexico is still looking good. Business confidence in Mexico, let's see what that looks like. It's probably better than Germany. It's still in expansion territory. Again, got a little boost out of the COVID era. It was in an upward trajectory. COVID crushed them just because of the fact that everybody was working with China for a period of time, and these guys just didn't recover the same way that China did. But let's look here. So we got non-farm payrolls, unemployment rate, average hourly earnings, participation rate, average weekly hours, government payrolls, manufacturing payrolls, non-farm payrolls, U6 unemployment rate, global manufacturing PMI. It looks like a couple of these come at 8:30 and 8:45. We got a busy day. We got stuff all the way through 9 o'clock. Yeah, so through 9 o'clock, we'll have a bunch of data. So we'll hang out here for a second. We will watch these guys, though. I'm going to switch to live, and then I'll mute it for now. We'll take a look at what they have to say about this data after my take, because I usually find mine to be more valuable. Sometimes they have additional details, but honestly, I think mine's better. JT, good morning from Taiwan. I survived the typhoon. Congratulations. We are happy to hear that. Livongo, sound? ? Is that sound AI? Is that my sound not working? What's going on, bro? I think it's working for everybody else. We love you. Jesse says 2222 is snow. Or ice snow. Not sure what that all means. But thank you. I appreciate it. Sound is good. Refresh your page. It's good thinking. Smart. All right, we got 1 minute, 15 seconds. We'll see how this data works on us today, guys. Again, if you're just getting in here, it's been a pretty good morning so far in pre-market. Amazon definitely leading the show. That's helping NVIDIA bounce back. We had pretty good energy earnings related data too. So you can see energy and minerals ticking up here a little bit. So there's a few things doing all right today. And again, we found out that people on CNBC evidently do not do a good job of actually understanding analytics and data points before they go on live. But we probably already knew that. All right, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Jabba the Hutt is feeling optimistic today. We got our green man in here. Say hi, Jabba. It's his first time on YouTube, so take it easy on him. Oh, here we go. Data. I'm going to see a whole bunch of stuff puke on the screen here in a second. Yeah, I do. I'm collecting a bunch of weird mugs. It's the only thing I like about me, Kevin, his weird mug collection. I'm kidding. He's probably an all right person, too. He's just a shitty investor. All right. Here we go. Here we go. We got data. We got data. Oh, I refreshed it. Now it all went away. Boom. Boom. Non-farm payrolls, 12,000 versus 180,000 forecast. and 113 consensus. What? Unemployment rate comes in with consensus underneath forecast. That's good. Average hourly earnings still grinding away here. It looks like on the monthly it's not super great, but let's see what it's like. So that non-farm payrolls is ugly. But let's see. Average hourly earnings yearly came right in line. Participation rate ticked up 0.1%, more than forecast, but 0.1 under consensus. That's all within line. Average weekly hours, 34.3, slightly better than consensus and forecast. Government payrolls. Guys, bigger government, that's going to make the world better. We got plenty of that because the forecast was 20,000 and we got 40,000. So the government is just becoming a bigger beast so that it can inefficiently consume all of our money. It's exciting. Non-farm payrolls, negative 28,000 in private. 160,000 for forecast. That is just horrific. U6 unemployment rate, though, came down 0.1%. That's better. Oh, that government side is just ugly to me. Let's listen to Rick Santelli rant about that. Let's go back here. You know he's going to have something to say. He's going to have something to say. Oh, we got Leesman in here first. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to hit live. I meant to hit unmute.
And as I'll talk.
I'm going to take a look at where the futures stand. Dow right now up by about 125 points ahead of this. S&P futures up by 19. The Nasdaq up by 78.
That private payroll,
watching
that's
the yields
bad.
On the treasuries, and they're higher.
But hey, our
this morning,
government
too. In
can
fact,
just keep
I think
getting
the
bigger.
10-year is just above
Isn't that great?
4.3% at 4.31.
All the business community
The
supports
2-year's at
Kamala Harris,
4.21.
guys. They
And
love
Steve, very
big
quickly,
government.
The estimate on this is for 100,000
All the ones that have
jobs, but we
contracts
have
and
seen
hung out with
higher
P. Diddy.
numbers coming in with ADP earlier in the week.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, we've seen some strength out there. Big question about the impact. We did some work on this. I'll talk about this on the other side.
Does he read chat? Can I ask questions? No, human, I do not.
25,000 jobs they were affected in Florida and in North Carolina, obviously other places as well. You have the strikes. There are 3 different strikes out there. The street's given, I don't know, 100,000 plus or minus on this in terms of the impact of the hurricanes and the strikes. So we'll just kind of do some math and
yeah, that's
figure
true.
out what the underlying strength of the economy is in the job market.
All right, just to prove that he's here, Joe Livornia on set.
In the house. In the house.
Take a picture of him. We're all ready to go.
Right.
I thought that was Trump.
Jabba is kind of a king in the Star Wars universe.
The whole thing.
Okay,
It is time for
looks
the
happy
October
today,
jobs
doesn't he?
report. Rick Santelli has that number. He will in about a second. Hey, Rick.
Yes, the big jobs report and the preface.
I mean, that private non-farm payroll stuff was horrific, chicken bro. So if that's rigged, it's really badly rigged.
Came true. Jobs light, 12,000 in non-farm payroll. That is the lightest going back to December of 2020, and partially explained, of course, by storms, hurricanes, and strikes, but there's more nuance to come. If you look at what the unemployment rate is, that remained at 4.1. So people are going to scratch their heads. Hey, lousy jobs report, why 4.1? Because the rate comes from the household survey, and the household survey counts those that are off work, absent due to strikes and storms. So they're counted as employed. It remains at 4.1%. Now, let's look at the average hourly earnings month over month. They remain sticky, up 0.4. I would think that's a good thing. We're expecting a 0.3.
Main stage news. That's a great question. We'll cover that right after this.
Number, and in the rearview mirror, the 0.4 was revised to 0.3. Now, if we look at year-over-year perspective, it also remained at 4%. Excuse me.
You must not know Rick Santelli, Toshi, because this isn't yelling. This is quiet.
4% was the original release.
You'll know when he's yelling.
Last month. That was downgraded just like the month over month to 3.9. So it's hotter technically, but as expected and prior to revision, it was equal to last month. Now, if we look at the work week, 34.3, it built a little bit more.
One sec, chicken bro.
It
Let's listen to their take. I got my own.
34.2 to 34.3. And last month, a revision, late revision. So it moves up.
Yeah, this is like Rick Santelli without his coffee, guys. This is about as tame as Rick Santelli gets.
from 0.2 to 0.3. It equals that. Why is that so important? Sometimes less hours worked has a tendency to kind of artificially boost wages. And finally, let's look at the labor force participation rate. 62.7 expected, 62.7 in the rearview mirror, but it comes in participation light, 62.6, which equals where we were in June. To find a lighter number, you have to go to the month before that, to May. And finally, the underemployment rate. 4.1 is called U3. That's the normal employment rate we use in all data. The underemployment rate, known as U6, comes in at 7.7, where it was last month. To find a higher number, you'd have to go to August when it was 7.9.
It's nice to see bond treasury yields coming down today.
So we have made some progress there. The market's very volatile. We've seen a trade close to 432. We've seen a trade down around 423. Those are, of course, in 10-year yields. It's currently trading at 425 and
pretty
change.
hard.
Do keep in mind that it closed last week at 424, so it's still up in yield on the week. And at 411, we see that the 2-year note.
You know what's frightening to me is just how much bigger government is getting, how much bigger the government payroll is getting at a time where we have massive federal deficits, at the time where our interest income on our debt is so high, and we're just like hugging it. The Democrats just want it to be so much larger. It's amazing to me. It's just a sure path to destruction. It's wild.
Has given back quite a bit of ground.
There is more data.
Here,
we have data coming out at, I think, 8:30, 8:45, and 9.
At 420 prior to the number. So an outsized effect was expected with the weak number, which everybody predicted. But with all the nuance here, for all the variables that potentially made this jobs light, the market is paying very close attention, trying to get it right in the big picture. Becky and the panel, back to you.
Okay, Rick,
Amazon's
stay right there.
dropped
That's
a little
really
bit.
interesting because you saw
Nvidia's
the
up a little bit.
anticipated
Tesla's up.
moves that you might think with equities higher, yields coming down a little bit, just on the idea that the Fed's going to look at this and say, okay, maybe there's potential for cutting again.
Of course there is. I don't know why people have jumped out of the we're not. I literally saw posts where people are like, oh, I don't know if we're going to get a cut in a week. It's like, what are you smoking, dude? The probability is like 95%. Look at this. 94.5% that we get a cut next week. I see nothing changing that. And then at the same time in December, we've dropped a little bit, but we're still at 69.1. So I actually expect this to tick back up. So I just don't understand why people are all of a sudden. Don't get me wrong, we might not have one in January. We might pause there. Again, our base is going to be higher. The neutral rate's going to be higher.
But you made the right point, Rick, and that point is the household survey shows a different picture. That's the one that is maybe the noise you need.
Chicago PMI is pretty significant. I think it's a combination, Chris. The sell-off is a combination of the market has run up a lot and a lot of assets have run up a lot. And they've done that off the back, I think, of people getting excited about a Trump presidency. But now we have the fear coming into next week that that might be stolen from him. I think that's probably going to be the prevailing theme between now and then. But then we also have the fact that the election cycle at November is like one of the best times of the year. What I'm concerned about is whether or not November continues to be good if we have a shit show that's worse than what we had last election season on who's going to be the president, because it's going to be a much bigger fight this time around if there's a bunch of voting irregularities. And all of a sudden we see Kamala Harris winning by a large margin. I just know that isn't reality. And I think a lot of people know that. And so it'll be a much more interesting November, I think, this time around than we've ever had, or at least during my lifetime for elections. So I'm fascinated to see where it all goes. There's another question here I want to hit real quick, too. Who was it? Where did it go? Mario, good morning. Portfolio boomed. Oh, okay, that was you. There's another one in here. I was going to read it. Chicken Bro is confusing payrolls and low unemployment. We could look at more of that in a second. Let me see here. There's one I wanted to cover. Where do they? Main stage news. What do you think happens at the macro level if we get rid of income tax? I think it's actually a really beautiful thing. I think it can be disruptive, but what you want to do is create growth, right? If you eliminate income tax, we know we have a blueprint for this. It's called the early 1900s. And with that, you'll see massive amounts of growth. You'll see competition from like EV makers from China disappear because they'll just tariff the shit out of them. Any country that tries to remove themselves from the US dollar will be tariffed, and it will make it to where they have to work and negotiate with the United States to be able to still have access to this market. And you'll want access to this market because we'll be seeing a massive growth cycle that could lead into a bubble, but I doubt it because, again, we've got AI, we've got robotics, we've got autonomy that will be backing us up as all this happens. You got to remember, Elon Musk thinks that there will be 10 billion autonomous robots wandering around the earth, or I shouldn't say autonomous, humanoid robots wandering around the earth in just the next 15 years. So you got to think about the level of growth that we're going to be seeing from autonomy and robotics. Version 13 of Tesla's FSD, which is out internally right now with Tesla. So they kind of hit their mark. They've got it released. It's just not to everybody. That version 13 will be the version where we go fully unsupervised per shock. The head of the AI department at Tesla. So we're looking at a massively changing world. But if we get rid of income tax, you have to realize like the level of wealth and spending will go through the roof. Just think about all the money you spend on taxes, take that out and then give that back to everybody. It would go through the roof. I don't know how plausible it's going to be to have that happen over the next 2 years. But if it happened, it would be a boom like we haven't seen since the early 1900s. So, and that lasted, 10 to 20 years, and they weren't doing that off the back of AI, robotics, and autonomy. That's my take. Let me see. My buddy Human did say something here. Absolutely, my dad worked at the Fed at CMS, had to leave because of all the waste. He couldn't take it. Yeah, it's just disgusting. He tried cutting spending at CMS multiple times. He became an enemy. Yeah, that's what happens. There's a lot of people where if you mess with their budgets, corporate America, especially government, you become the enemy of people and they come after you. That's just the way it works. Let's listen to the rest of this real quick here, and then we'll go over and I'll give more of a take on the data. I think the data today, I think that it's horrific for our economy long term to have all of our jobs coming from government payrolls. It's horrific. It's really bad. But over the short term with the stock market today, I don't know. We had a really rough day yesterday. Feels like a bouncer today. Thoughts on Reddit? I don't like Reddit as a company. It's a pro-censorship platform. People can literally vote your shit down if they don't like your opinion, and you'll never have visibility and you'll never grow. So it's kind of a liberal cesspool, in my opinion. I've actually been attacked on Reddit because of a view I had that was in support of Elon Musk and against somebody else. And it went viral and got like millions of views just because they shit on me. So I'm not a big lover of Reddit. I actually think Reddit dies off over time. But I mean, some people made some good money off of it as an investment. I think it's trash as a product. And I don't invest in companies that I think are bad for humanity. Just my take.
Through from the jobs report versus the unemployment rate. Steve, what do you think reading through all this?
Well, that's a very good take, Becky. And
I also don't spend a lot of time on companies that I think are bad for humanity, if that makes sense, Future. Have a good day. Thank you.
The reason is because the household survey doesn't really care if you're not working because of a hurricane or a strike. Well, actually a strike, but a hurricane or a strike, actually. But the payroll survey does. And so I think this might be sort of a Goldilocks type report. And it has to do with how much math that you want to do and add back in. Do you add back in 100,000 from the strikes and from the hurricane effect? By the way, the BLS saying, I was reading the note that they put out saying the response rates were down, in part because there was a short period for responses. But if you add back 100 and say, okay, we had 112, that's a pretty good number. And that might put the Fed back on track in terms of believing that the job market is weakening, or at least giving up some.
Yeah, it's good. It is a good it is good to realize that the impact of the hurricanes and the Boeing strike on these numbers too as well. But again, just government payroll being what props up the economy, that's definitely a thing, and that's concerning.
Some of the big gains of the prior month. One other thing that was out there, the reason why the unemployment rate might remain unchanged is because we had obviously this influx of immigrants, and then the border was kind of closed down, and so we don't have that influx anymore. What might be happening is that initial influx that's been out there, those folks might have found jobs keeping the unemployment rate down. So, and of course, having no impact at all from the hurricanes in that number. I'm looking for the number, and I'll get you that in a second, of the number who were out of work due to bad weather.
Okay, keep digging through that. Joe, you're here on set. Let's talk about what you're looking at. Two phones trying to juggle out. What's the information you're trying to pull out?
Doing the math and looking at the data.
Okay, good.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with the great Santelli and Mr. Leisman as well, because if you look at the household data, you actually lost almost 400,000 jobs. Employment fell almost 400,000 jobs. And more importantly, if you look at private wage and salary workers within the household survey, which is the core number, that was down 102,000. The reason the unemployment rate was stable is because civilian labor force shrunk over a couple 100,000. So this may not look like the great number or ex-hurricane that it's being portrayed.
And your thought is this is telling us what about the economy?
The economy we're at a lot of crossroads in the economy. The GDP data have been great, but the GDP data have been good. We're up, Becky, we're up almost 1.4 trillion nominal dollars in GDP.
No, it has some. All of them contribute, right? Let's listen to what he has to say, though.
Sounds great. The problem is marketable treasury debt is up 2 trillion. So in the last 12 months, we've issued 600 billion in debt to fund GDP growth. That was 600 billion less.
Wow.
That's
fair.
Really the crux, and I think why people have missed why GDP has been strong. The government is just throwing so much money into the economy.
Is this stuff that was already passed from the CHIPS Act and beyond, or the IRA?
It's the IRA, it's the American Rescue Plan, it's the infrastructure bill. Some of it's been used. It's a lot of. It's just a lot of money that's there, not all of which has been used yet, and it's underpinning demand.
Steve, what did you say?
I
did
agree.
you drop the feed, or did you have something on what Joe was saying? I think we may have lost Steve for a moment. Wendy, let me get to you.
Yeah, I'm back.
Do you agree with it? Okay, well, hold on. Let me get to Wendy's take first, Steve. Wendy, do you agree with what Joe's just saying here? And we hear everything you're saying, Steve. You may not hear us.
I think we have a remarkably strong economy right now. It's true that these numbers the employment numbers are difficult to parse given the strike.
She's a Kamala Harris
effects.
supporter, so this isn't a
surprising
response.
If you look at the 3-month average, and you add back in the noise from the strikes and the hurricanes, we're maybe at about 140,000 a month on average over the last 3 months. That's a good number, not a great number. And I do think we still need to be comparing that to labor force growth that is still being boosted by immigration, even though the border.
Yeah, see, she's pro illegal immigration too. But she totally ignored the comment that he just made, which is that the $680 billion in funding is what's really propping up these numbers and making it look like it's better than it is as far as growth, and that it's not really that good. If you subtract these, we'd be in the negative. And he's 100% right about that.
Border has been.
Amazon would get crushed in a recession because of all their physical infrastructure. We saw that happen after the pandemic. When their stock just plummeted because they were just burning billions of dollars a quarter. But in a good economy, Amazon has a lot of room to run, and it wouldn't surprise me. They're breaking 200. It's happening today, easy.
Been a lot more orderly. We are still seeing numbers this year for requests for work permits and even approved work permits that are higher than they were in 2023. So as much as the flow.
The government's hiring everybody. I don't think they discriminate. You could be a raper, you could be a murderer. They're probably going to give you a job, probably high pay too, 6 figures, guys. You just need to cross the border and be a convicted felon, and that's how you make real money in America. The American dream, the new American dream.
At the border have become a lot more reasonable and a lot more orderly. We are still seeing.
Thoughts on Amazon with tariffs? Since this lady's just an idiot anyway, we can pause her a bunch. Because we're not going to get a lot out of it. Jesse says, thoughts on Amazon with tariffs. Seems like everything I get there is made in China. So I don't think the tariffs are going to be against everything in China. Trump knows that what you want to do is you want to tariff things that you make, and in order to be able to stifle them from being able to destroy your market, right? We know that China's goal, and they've been very successful at this over the last couple of decades, is consume an industry and then kill it off, kill off the foreign industry by subsidizing it through government spending. And then when you've killed off that other industry, you own the market and you can charge more. And they're trying to do that with the car sector. They want to run the car sector. They want it to be all EVs, and they want it to be made in China. Well, you tariff the shit out of those to prevent that from happening. You start tariffing the shit out of solar panels because they own that market too. You start tariffing everything that they are just really working to dominate. You put 100% tariffs, they'll never enter these markets. They'll have to sell in other markets at much lower cost, which will put more pressure on them. And as you know, my thoughts of China, they're in a world of hurt right now. They're both preparing for war, which is inefficient when you're trying to increase GDP and do these other things. War can band-aid stuff, but it's not healthy for your economy to use war. You might be able to prop your numbers up, but it's not healthy for your economy. Russia is a good example of that, where depending upon how you're looking at it, it can look like they're doing all right, but really they are not. And they're heavily dependent on China. But again, tariffs, I don't think tariffs are as big of a deal as they're being portrayed to be, because I think they're going to be exercised in a way that's pretty strategic. You got to remember, Trump implemented tariffs during his term that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden never got rid of because they were so effective. So if the tariffs are as bad as they say they are, why did they keep them? My question for you.
Seeing higher labor force growth perhaps because of lags in immigration earlier this year. But all said, the fact that we have inflation quite near target and this strong of a labor market is great news. In all but 4 states, the unemployment rate in the latest numbers is below 5%. There's a lot for
illegal immigration in those states is up 800. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, probably.
for policymakers to be crowing about.
Steve, I know you have a point. I'll get to you in just a second, but I want to work Sarah in first. Sarah, take a look at what we're seeing, not only with the equities market, but Treasury market,
Henry.
too. The 10-year is now down at 4.24. Before we started this, the 10-year was at 4.31. So we have seen some pretty significant
War
moves
is
here.
non-productive GDP, right? Because it's just a bunch of spending. You're spending a lot, and it might look like there's a lot of productivity being built. But it's just fueling war, which again, these bombs don't create a lot of extra jobs. They just blow up, and then that money is gone. So war can be constructive if you're the winner, but China's not going to win. They're just not. They could destroy the world, but they're not going to win.
What do you...
Am I doing an election stream? Hell yeah. We're going all night, man, as long as it takes. I'm not letting them steal this one.
You take away from this as an equities analyst, what people should be thinking with the stock market's reaction?
Well, investors expected this number to be more noise than signal because of the impact of strikes and storms. But the sweet spot for investors would have been a payrolls number of about 100,000. So what is this 12,000 telling us about the economy and markets? Well, first of all, I think it says that the September 250,000 payrolls was likely an anomaly.
Chris said, I'm about 3/4 of the way through Rogan Vance interview, and it's better than the Trump one. That's because Vance is a brilliant orator. Like he is so smart. He's very smart, very articulate, much more so than Trump, as far as his ability to be able to communicate his thoughts. I think Trump's heart's in the right place, but he's very emotional. And he doesn't handle well when he feels like he's getting bullied, or, like that debate where obviously Kamala had all the questions. But Vance is somebody that can go up against people that are 100% against him, and like Vivek, like so many, like Charlie Kirk, like a bunch of other people that are just brilliant in the Republican Party. He can handle it all and just destroy the people that he's talking to and spin them around so much that they're just furious by the end of it. Vance is a badass. And you think about it, this guy's second in line to the presidency if something happened to Trump. And the way they keep trying to shoot Trump, like, I don't know. I think Vance would be a great president of the United States, much better than Waltz, unless you like tampons in the boys' rooms. I would definitely vote Trump.
And we're back to that downward trend that concerned the Fed
Yeah, it does,
pre-September and caused the Fed to cut by 50 basis points in November. So first of all, I think it puts 25 for sure back on the table.
It never went off the fucking table. What is it right now? It's 99%. It was 95 before this. It was never off the table. Why do people keep saying this?
For the November Fed, probably another 25 for December. Fed may consider 50 for.
If Chicken Bro, a Vance Vivek ticket in 2028 is going to be awesome. It would be. But sad to say, if Trump doesn't win this one, I actually don't think there'll be another election that's ever real in this country again. We might have 2 more years. If Kamala wins this one, we might have 2 more years to fix it. But if we don't, I don't think there'll ever be another fair election. I think we'll be a uniparty state, and I don't think you'll ever see the Vance Vivek ticket. So if you don't understand the severity of this election, you work hard to understand that and go out and vote for Donald Trump now.
For November, if the next payroll number for November comes in light again. But I think markets are somewhat going to write this off and move on pretty quickly, because coming up, we have geopolitics with escalation in the Middle East potentially happening again. Also, earnings which have been mixed. We expected great earnings from tech stocks, but they have not delivered on an aggregate basis. And then, of course,
the earnings have been fine. This lady's just a fucking idiot.
Election next week. We don't even know when we'll have an answer to who is our next president. All of that is going to,
I mean, that part's true.
I think, take front stage with this number, and this number will be written off.
Exactly. We need to. But the problem is, if they rig the presidential debate, what's the chance that they can rig the Senate and House and maintain control? Pretty high, I would say.
Because of those strikes and storms.
That's why we got to fight hard to make sure it doesn't happen. Tony, what'd you say, Tony? A blank comment? Come on, bro.
Fair point. In the meantime, Steve, how will the Fed?
Oh, there we go. Laughs. Nice.
Read this. And what did you want to jump in on? Did you see some other numbers?
Yeah, I found
yeah,
that
exactly,
number.
human.
People not at work due to bad weather was 512,000. Wow. So that's a big number.
512,000.
By the way, I look back, the blizzard of January '96, 1.8 million were not at work due to bad weather, and people not at work due to labor disputes. It's just 22,000. I wonder if they're picking up all of it right there. I'm reading the market, Becky, which seems to put the Fed back on.
Yeah, Canada is a great example of why you should be voting for Trump. That's very true. You guys are just utterly fucked. If Poilievre doesn't get into office, you guys are fucked.
On track to rate cuts. They're more sure now of a quarter point next week.
Yeah, and the UK is another great. Again, these are all examples of what we don't want in the future of the United States of America. If we want to fail, have Kamala in office so that we can be a lot more like the UK and Canada, where there's no growth and it's not even worth it to invest in the stock market, and we lose the world reserve currency status. And Bitcoin goes to 2 million, but you pay $100 for a fucking cheeseburger at McDonald's. If you like that world, vote for Kamala Harris. It's going to be wonderful.
They're more sure of a quarter point in December. And now they're dialing back in. This has been the swing factor that I've been watching, is January. The market had a pause built in for January. Now there's a 60% probability or 61% probability of a quarter point cut. And then the big change.
January
guys,
got better.
Can you put up the October 25 Fed funds futures contract? That's a year from now. And they have restored a bunch of rate cuts. They were playing with this terminal rate that was like 3.7.
Isn't it so funny? The narrative this last week has been what? What has it been? Oh, guys, the market is overestimating the number of rate cuts. We're not going to get that many rate cuts, guys. The bond market is right. The bond vigilantes, they understand that we're not going to get that many rate cuts. Now the narrative, after one day, is completely switched. So what's happened? The stock market went down. We had a shitty Chicago PMI number. We've got what they're saying is noisy signal data from the jobs market. But now all of a sudden we're talking about another rate cut in January where we weren't going to have one. And a bunch of these guys are revising and saying, nope, stock market's right. Bond guys are wrong. Isn't it just funny? It's so insane how the market works from day to day and what the narratives are, and what if you follow the news and you're just like, oh, the narrative is this now, this is what's happening, you will lose so much money if you follow the news. and you don't understand what it all means and where we're headed next, you will lose so much money.
73. I'd be fascinated to think what Joe thinks about this, but they're now down to 357, so they added back another quarter-point rate cut here. So the Fed they're looking through this saying, okay, even when I add back all the jobs, I get that cooling that I was looking for in the labor market.
Do you think, Joe, that this is a situation where the market really is, or the economy really?
Justin wants to keep the tampons. Justin likes to eat cats, and he wants his tampons.
Is cooling and cooling pretty rapidly.
Will Bitcoin plummet if Kamala wins? Instant reaction? Yes. Yes, I think it'll fall. I don't know about plummet. Plummet's a strong word, but because I think a lot of people are very excited, especially in the Bitcoin and crypto world. I mean, let's just say 90% of the people that are in this world understand that Trump is a much, much better for that than she would ever be. He even congratulated the Bitcoin community, and for 16 years since Satoshi Nakamoto made the white paper just like the other day. So, I mean, and then you've got crypto for Harris. Very key differences here. So, yes, Bitcoin will fall. Knee-jerk reaction. So I could see that happening. But at the same time, though, she's going to destroy our economy and spend tons of money and increase the size of government. So there will be some benefit. Bitcoin will go up. I don't know that it'll be, again, it'll be like, yay, we made a bunch of money in Bitcoin. Now if I can only find some place that sells food. So that's kind of what I think about when I think about Kamala Harris. So the price will go up. The price will go up. I just don't know what America looks like when it's all said and done. But I think the knee jerk is a drop down, and probably for Tesla too. But I think both would recover. I just don't know if America will.
You can't have it both ways. You can't say the labor market is great and the Fed should be cutting because inflation's low. We're not back at target. We're massively above where we would be if we.
BTC, Bitcoin will only go up for another year. Just to be clear, it'll only go up for another year. With MicroStrategy buying billions and billions of dollars in Bitcoin, maybe that gets better. And again, if government spending is really crazy, maybe that gets better for a while. But if Kamala becomes the president of the United States, man, we will have a severe recession. And so the Bitcoin cycle will probably continue like it normally does. We won't get like oh, don't worry about it, guys. Bitcoin's going up forever. I think we could have a severe recession. Now, if we lose world reserve status and people start shifting to Bitcoin, does that get better? I don't know, man. America's so heavily invested in Bitcoin, it'd probably be a source of funds over the short term. I don't know. Let's just pray to God that doesn't happen. If you're invested in the stock market, if you're invested in Bitcoin, pray to God that they can't steal this election.
We've been growing at 2% for the past 3.5 years.
And if you don't believe in God, pray to something.
The likelihood that we're going to get inflation back to 2 if the labor market is robust, I think, is low. So if there's
Theo, you're not buying into this cycle is different. I could actually buy into that if Trump gets elected and we have pro-growth policies. Then we could be more like the Roaring 20s or the late 1910s. We could totally be that. So this cycle might be different. There's the approaches that these two people are taking are incredibly different. One is high taxation, anti-growth. The other one is pro-growth, low taxation. These couldn't be more different from each other. So it depends on the path forward.
No landing. It's a robust labor market or not? I mean,
no, I don't think it's a robust labor market.
Bitcoin will be unstoppable either way. You're right, SK. But if you live in the West and you don't want Bitcoin to go up to $2 million because the price of your goods went up 10x. Okay? So I'm all for Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin go up either way. Yeah, that's all good, right? But if we're fucked and our spending power has actually decreased exponentially, then we could just end up not making anything at all while the world suffers. But Bitcoin's price is up. So yay. I'd rather have that not be the case.
Market, and I argued for 50 basis points back in September because of the data we had at that time, and I think the Fed did the right move. However, I would not be cutting rates next week. The Fed probably will, but the market's been so conditioned by Powell and Fed rhetoric that it doesn't want to back away from it. And to me, that's a problem. I would wait. Inflation's not where it needs to be. The GDP numbers, even if it's done or due to government largesse, which I believe it is still growing at 3%. The likelihood you're going to get back to 2% inflation is less. By the way, the last couple inflation prints have not been great. This notion all of a sudden we're back to 2%. We're not there yet, which is
You're
why
talking about
consumer
CPI
confidence.
year over year?
Yes.
I mean, we won't ever be there, guys. We're never going to be there. AP posted something from Pomp. Let me take a look.
Year with three-month rate of change on core PC or CPI, which is why, if you look at consumer sentiment, it's still depressed.
Wendy, weigh in on that. Do you think the economy is significantly weakening? What would you tell the Fed based on the numbers you're watching?
So I'm confused about what Joe is saying. The 3-month core PCE inflation in the third quarter was 2.16, 16 basis points above the Fed's target. So that is darn close.
3-month rate of change. It's not quarterly. 3-month rate of change. What's that?
It's a little.
She's so
it's like a
dumb. She's so dumb. She should not try and correct him.
2.4 higher than the Fed's target.
Thank you, Steve. 2.4. I rest my case.
That is not shockingly higher than target, and certainly
But
the
it
Fed
came from
has
8%.
no desire
It's down
to get
to
prices
2.5.
back down.
And if the labor
Yeah.
market doesn't weaken, it's not going lower. This isn't
So
hard.
the question
That's supply and demand.
is it appropriate, given how much inflation has been coming down and as quickly as it's been coming down and as close as it is to target, is it appropriate for monetary policy to be as tight as it was before? And the answer to that just has to be no.
I actually agree with her on this part. I hate to say it.
Inflation.
But Wendy, I think
it has
price
been
level,
the answer would probably be if you think the jobs market is significantly slowing, if you think the economy is significantly slowing, it's worth jumping in. If not, maybe you take your time and you move cautiously.
Otherwise, it's
No, so I
logically
think that-
inconsistent.
So I
And
think
we're
that the labor
20%
market
above
is
where we were on the
the
price
labor
level.
market is-
Cost of living is high.
Go ahead.
There's no debate about that.
Yeah, he's right.
Wendy?
the labor market is irrefutably slowing, and it is
She's right,
basically
too.
in the ballpark of what is a sustainable pace of employment growth, a stable, sustainable unemployment rate.
Arguably.
The labor market looks healthy, perhaps a little weak, but basically healthy, and we've got inflation close to target. As far as the real economy is going, what really boosted GDP growth in the last quarter was consumer spending. So despite
Consumer
the fact
spending
that
is strong.
consumers are
I agree with
saying
that.
that they're not particularly confident, they're sure spending like they're confident.
They're spending because they're confident because they all have government jobs now, and you've imported 10 million illegal immigrants and given them paychecks and money to be able to spend in the economy. So it does help. It does. Illegal immigration is really helpful over the short term because you could definitely make numbers look better. So I do agree with that. She's right about that. The more illegal immigration, you can totally Band-Aid and make things look good while the underlying fundamentals are just dissolving.
Joe?
It's weak or it's strong? Which is it?
Credit spending's okay.
I mean, I think the economy is weak and it's been propped up by tremendous
I agree with him.
It's a
amount of
soft
government
landing,
spending.
Joe.
100%. He's 100% right.
Joe,
it could be a
that's
soft
what a
landing.
soft landing is.
It could be a soft landing.
A soft landing supported by the federal government. And you know how they get their support, guys? They print money. Do you guys realize that taxation is the exact same as government money printing when they inflate the money away? Inflation, you could have temporary supply imbalances like what happened with COVID that jacks up prices. That's not really inflation, though. That's just a supply-demand imbalance, okay? That corrects itself naturally without issue. When you increase the money supply by 40% in 5 years, and the other 60% went back to the 1700s, that's inflation, okay? And when they do that, they're stealing your money from you. They're just doing it in a stealthier way where you don't see it on your fucking paycheck. So just remember that yes, we can prop things up and make numbers look good, but that just means that you're getting money stolen from you in a more stealthy way. And it's not even that stealthy lately. There's a reason why they shot for 2.5% inflation, because then you don't feel it until you're old. When you're old, you look back and go, what the hell is happening? But it's too late for you to do anything about it. When you get into 4%, it's a hell of a lot worse. You get to 10%, you got riots in the street. Okay? So they're stealing from you either way, though. That's what you have to realize. And it's not healthy to keep increasing the size of government, which is why we need to have Elon Musk and Doge fixing this. We need to fix this.
Steve, you're right. I don't dispute that. But I don't think you can say the economy is robust, and at the same time, we're going to say inflation is going to come down, and the Fed should be easing.
And Steve, that's the argument. Is this an argument for the Fed to continue easing, or an argument for the Fed to wait and see what's happening and then move?
Well, of course they're going to ease.
Here's the thing. I really think both are right here, and I think the market has this right, which is that the Fed can take a little off the top, but stop earlier than it previously.
I think they have to do that. I don't think we'd survive if they didn't. If we don't loosen up the auto sector and especially the real estate sector to get a boom back in our economy, we're effed.
The market previously thought, or even in the Fed forecast. I believe Wendy is correct that you don't need the high restrictive rate that you had when inflation was 9%. At the same time, I believe Joe is correct that you want to proceed very cautiously because the GDP numbers have been high. And also, by the way, because we're not so sure what the heck's going on in the job market because we had a hurricane and a bunch of strikes. So you want to just be careful here. Yep. But I do believe there's scope for the Fed to cut and to then be cautious.
We're out of time, but Sarah, I want to give you the last quick word. This is all the high thought period of the whole thing. In reality,
Rick is so chill right now.
That's what they want to hear.
Weird.
Well, investors are going to focus on what's around the corner. So, yes, we see unemployment rates today, but we're going to be focusing on the next presidential term and two factors there, taxes and tariffs. And both of those tax cuts and potentially more.
Henry says 2% at 2% inflation, your money loses half of its value every 20 years. Yeah. So, again, that's the whole point, right? Like, let's say that you're in your 20s. You're stupid. You just got a job. You don't know what the fuck is going on. By the time you start to realize what's going on, you're in your 40s, which is why you switched from a liberal to being a Republican, right? Because then you know that you're getting screwed and you start to understand how the system works, which is why older people support Donald Trump in much larger numbers than younger people. Because they know the system is rigged. They know it's screwing us. They know it's going to destroy their children and grandchildren. And they want to vote for whatever reduces the likelihood of that happening. So there's a reason why the math all plays out the way it does.
More tariffs are inflationary. So while inflation may be near target today, our concern is that as we roll into 2025, inflation could start to reaccelerate. And how is the Fed going to handle that? A weakening employment market, a potential reacceleration in inflation, that puts the Fed in a tough spot. So we may get our 25 to 50.
Oh, yeah, the UK is the worst. You've got a bunch of bureaucrats now making the budget, irregardless of what is going to destroy the companies that are in that country. Europe is going to be just a shit show, with the UK probably leading that in the near future. It's sad.
For the rest of this year, but I think 2025 becomes more challenging for investors.
All right, I want to thank our jobs panel, Sarah.
I think the latter part of 2025 does. There's too much promise of money printing either way for now.
Wendy, Joe, Rick, and Steve.
All right, let's go back at markets, guys.
Coming up, former Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester is going to join us.
So we do see Amazon coming down, Nvidia's coming down.
What the numbers could mean for the central bankers when they decide.
I'm going to go live on this and just leave it there. So it does look like the market is starting to retrace a little bit. Not a lot. It's not getting crushed by what we just heard. But again, Apple down 1.8%. Amazon is off. It's 7%, 8% gains. Tesla's still up 1%. Nvidia is up 1.12, but it's retraced a little bit. It was up over 2%. So I think there's a somberness for the day. And I actually think I think heading into next week, guys, we're just going to see chop, honestly, in the markets because we really need to know who the next president of the United States is. People can say it doesn't matter. They say that every year. And again, it's true most of the time. 90% of the time, the election doesn't matter. Hell, probably 95% of the time, the presidential election doesn't really matter. But we're so starkly different between a communist, socialist, large government, censorship apparatus versus democratic capitalism that it's such a stark contrast. This one does matter, and we've never seen a more divided election than what we've seen right now. It's really bad. So this one will matter. It will matter a lot. All right, let's look at some other stuff here. Hope we know Tuesday night. No, I don't know if we can hope for Tuesday night. But again, in states, guys, where if you don't understand this, in states where we don't have voter ID laws, like look at this. There's some funny stuff here. So here you can't actually click on Trump on the machine. You can't click on him. It goes to Kamala Harris. This has happened both in Kentucky and Arkansas now. Kind of fascinating. So pay attention when you vote, guys. There's another one here that shows that in California, you don't even get Trump on the main page. Oh, wait. This has been corrected. This is why I love community notes. The order is determined by randomized alphabet and rotated by assembly district. Randomized order this year is this. If there are 3 candidates, HTO, they will appear as... I actually think that's kind of dumb. Why wouldn't you put the 2 political candidates at the top? But whatever. So maybe that one's not a big deal. But then we have this lady who literally put out the passwords for all the voting machines in Colorado so that everybody can steal the vote. We have, let me go down here. This is interesting. Democrats just sued Erie County, Pennsylvania officials allegedly holding. So there's voter integrity issues about this election in mass right now. I don't even remember what my fucking point was. What was it? And you have plenty of places like Georgia. I probably got this stuff way down in the list. You got places like Georgia. You got places like Pennsylvania, Arizona that are talking about days, if not weeks, if not 10-day delays. So it's amazing to me that our voting system has become so shitty that not only can we not count votes in a day, which we could do with paper ballots, but now it takes 10 days to figure out who's going to be the president of the United States. That, to me, just sounds like a reason to rig an election. And this is a good post right here from the Westerner. Let me zoom this in a little bit. It says U.S. election. This is in one day. Listen to this. In Pennsylvania, Trump wins in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, after being forced to sue after voting lines being shut down early. They were literally shutting down voting lines before election day is over so that they could, because again, conservative, especially men, they vote last minute. They vote in person. They don't mail their shit in. And so they wanted to try and prevent them from being able to vote. That got kicked back. In Virginia, and this is just, when is this post? This is 10:30, so this is less than 2 days ago, 36 hours ago. In Virginia, Supreme Court rules in favor of Virginia after Kamala Department of Justice attempts to reinstate self-identified non-citizens on the VA voter rolls. So literally trying to get illegal immigrants on the voter rolls. That's what Kamala's Department of Justice was trying to do. Colorado, SOS Jenna Griswold leaks voting system passwords. We just saw that. Michigan, attorney Matthew DePerno identifies single voter IDs being used to cast multiple ballots. It looks like they had cleaned that up, though, per Lara Trump. They'd cleaned that up, and so there was a category that was missing that was showing that was being cleaned up. Michigan, SOS Jocelyn Benson announces nationwide issue that cannot be fixed with Dominion voter access terminals. How can liberals be like, oh no, we're okay, Dominion's okay, Dominion good voting machine, when literally we know that there's a nationwide issue? I don't even have the clarity on what all of this is that affects every Dominion voter terminal. Pennsylvania, ABC TV station accidentally airs election results showing Harris winning Pennsylvania by 5% with 100% of votes in. And this is just the beginning of mass chaos is on the way. I kind of feel like that's partially true. I think it's partially true. All right, let's get to other stuff, though. I got bookmarks. There's stuff I want to talk about. I want to talk U.S. economy. I want to talk Bitcoin. I want to talk Tesla. We do have more data coming out. Let's just look here when our next batch of data comes. It looks like 8:45 we get S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. That'll be a big one. And then at 9 o'clock we get ISM Manufacturing Employment, Construction Spending month over month, ISM Manufacturing New Orders, and Prices. So we got a lot of stuff coming between now and 9, guys, so make sure you stick around. All right, let's go over to the bookmarks here. We're going to look at U.S. economy, and we'll talk about a few things real quick. I said unions lose in a free market economy. This is why we don't have a lot of unions right now, guys. I said, it said, Bespoke put, here's a look at the year-over-year change in employment costs broken out by union versus non-union. So you can see union goods and producing is higher than non-union good producing. And then unions service producing is also really high. And I don't know why they don't have non-union in here for that metric. They should. But it just shows you how unions can't compete, right? You just can't. You need to have free markets in order to be able to compete with the rest of the world, and even in this country. Seth Golden put, at some point, it just gets stupid saying the consumer is weakening. Agreed. He said in Q3, consumer consumption growth had the largest contribution to the real U.S. GDP growth in more than 3 years. Just stop with the weakening consumer nonsense. We're coming at this from a different view because I think he's more liberal than I am. But I agree with this. I think when you have the government propping up markets and when you have them importing immigrants that they give money to and give jobs to, whether it's, legal Haitian immigrants that they're trying to expedite as voters, or whether they're taking the slow roll, or just, again, all these voter ID laws, California, Washington State, New York, all these liberal cities, they don't have voter ID requirements because they want illegals to be able to grow to vote. So they kind of do that anyway. But if you look here, in regard to consumption and real GDP growth, look at this. Service industry is still hopping. Non-durable goods are actually expanding, and durable goods are too. So the consumer is still in spending mode and will be for a while. I 100% agree with that, probably for different reasons than Seth. Dr. Ed Yardini says 28 days since the first rate cut and 10-year yield is up nearly 60 bips. The 1995 soft landing cut cycle is almost a mirror image. It also started its descent a few days later, a potential post-election outcome. I agree with this, actually. I think that 1995 is the closest representation of where we are, especially when we're looking at bonds and yield. And I think that we're going to, I've said this, I think we've seen peak yields and that they're going to come down. Also, Seth Golden posted, first 10 trading days in November are amongst the best trading days of the calendar year in a presidential election year. This is not seasonality, rather flow-ality. Flows are on schedule, despite how you may feel about valuations, geopolitical conflict, and domestic policy. Flows do not care. I agree with that to an extent, but I also think that it's going to be interesting to see if with a contested election, whether or not that holds up for the first part of November. Not that it can't come in later. Another good one from Seth. It might seem as though the NASDAQ has been bubblicious over the last couple of years, but did you know that the NASDAQ is only up 26.5% over the last 36-month, 3-year rolling period, underperforming the average 36-month rolling period of 40%, green line since its inception? When Dan Ives forecasts NASDAQ 20,000, pictures become a lot clearer in this chart as to why. Now, look at this, because this is interesting. Again, if you're looking at a rolling 3-year going all the way back to 1974, it actually looks like the NASDAQ has been underperforming and is really fairly valued. You can see where it peaked after 2021, after the post-pandemic, surge in markets. You can see where it did really well before the dot-com bubble. You can't see that so much during the GFC, Great Financial Crisis, right? So, but you can see where the market, at least by a rolling 3-month average, we would catch the dot-com bubble. We would catch the 2021 GME games, like all this, just like the meme coin, all the bullshit. We would catch that. We wouldn't catch the Great Financial Crisis. But again, it's a good argument. I like it. I think it's right. Let me keep rolling down here. This isn't the United States, but again, it's a representation of just how shitty Germany is in parts of Europe. It shows that Germany is ranking amongst energy generation for coal is near the highest. And it's so sad because Germany has all these solar panels everywhere, but they're turning off nuclear power plants and they're firing up coal. Now, what's funny about this, too, is if you look over at China, I don't think a lot of people know this, but here's China, guys. Here's China. Doesn't this look beautiful? Isn't this beautiful? This is all over China. You know why this is all over China? Because China burns more coal than the rest of the world combined. And they're adding coal factories at a record rate faster than the rest of the world. Why is this okay? all these environmentalist assholes like Greta, whatever the fuck her name is. Look at this. Why is this okay? This is acceptable because it's China, right? We like the CCP. We like communism. We lean towards that. They don't talk about this. This is okay. But in the United States, where our skies don't look anything like this, it's not okay. It's fascinating to me. Again, it's just the hypocrisy is fascinating to me on what's acceptable and what isn't. Let me see if there's anything else here that we haven't covered. I think that's it. There might be more. Oh, yeah, just me talking about the Chicago PMI yesterday and just how devastated it is. If you look at the depth and then the length of time we've been down here, it surpasses 2020. It surpasses the 2008 financial crisis. It surpasses the dot-com bubble. It surpasses the lull we had in the early 90s. You have to go back to 1980 to see a rout in the Chicago PMI that is as bad as what we have right now. So very fascinating. Let me see here. We got data coming out in about 3 minutes. I'm going to jump over here. Let's see. They're probably on a commercial break. I'll refresh this. I might take another coffee break real quick and go to the bathroom. I'm just trying to see if there's anything interesting I can give you guys in the meantime. I might back up here. I might let these guys talk for a minute. We'll see what we have Chevron talking about with earnings and energy. Let me see here. And then I'll be right back for our next round of data. This is Amazon. We're aggressively pursuing AI as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That's awesome. Actually, maybe we'll go back to this. I might play this for a second. Yeah, I'm going to play this for a second and let them get into Amazon. I'll be right back.
Sell side doing in brokerage research continue to hope that China's going to come back. And because of the so-called stimulus, and there are even some data last night from China.
I saw you mention the Kaishan
housing's up
PMI,
7%.
yeah.
I mean, Carl, there's a company I'm dealing with right now. I'm not going to mention their name because it's just unfortunate. There's a big dispute. But they're telling me, look, Jim, you got to stop measuring companies by earnings per share. And I come back and I say, well, Bill Parcells, Belichick, they may say, it still matters whether you win more or lose more. But how about if you rig the numbers? How about if you rig the numbers to win? Why do we trust China? What did China really do here with their buyback? They wanted to stay in the MSCI as a growing concern, which then brings in more money. I think that the numbers from China are suspect. And I think that we act as if somehow the Chinese Communist Party is putting out some real solid numbers, like they know. Now, there are people like Dave Tepper, who I truly respect, who write about Alibaba, what in the 70s, 80s. But why did Alibaba go up? Was it because of consumption? Consumption of the stock. Because you can rig anything. I mean, there's one thing we're certain, well, no, other than when Michael Corleone.
Is he shitting on China?
The second thing we're certain is that you can rig markets. And that's what's going on. And why don't people say it? What are they afraid of? Why can't we just admit that the market's rigged and the numbers are rigged?
So it is a big part of the Apple story, but bottom line, is this quarter, is it a push on Apple?
Look, I thought that Europe was surprisingly strong. I thought that Europe would get to Amazon surprisingly strong.
I'm kind of interested in this. One sec.
Bookings, Europe, surprisingly strong. It is the story. And it's the pigs, by the way. The pigs are flying. It's Portugal. It's you're getting Ireland getting some good numbers. Italy's getting some good numbers. I really like what's...
I think that's a Robinhood issue, dude. Gerard Bell. I think Robinhood has some weird shit going on with clean spark trading. You can do it on other exchanges.
Greece. I like what's happening in Southern Europe. Northern Europe's still a little conflicted because of Russian gas, natural gas here. But I just think that the story that's coming out that no one's talking about is that Europe with a major comeback. Just a major comeback. And people have to realize, stop focusing on Germany, which has problems with tariffs. Start thinking about the rest of Europe as being a growth engine in the world.
Oh, God, that's completely wrong. That's so fucking wrong. I mean, again, they have the same kind of benefit of illegal immigration that you're having here in the United States. You can bump it. You can make things look good for a short period of time, but don't look at it as a growth engine for the world. Don't look at Europe as a growth engine for the world. If you think that, you're retarded.
800 million people. And people.
Dreamin' Forest says, why does our election integrity keep getting worse and not better? It's fucked up. No, that's true. I mean, that's what it is, right? That's what we need to fix.
People forget there was one time in our existence before we all decided that China was the be-all and end-all.
Yeah, as a Portuguese, he's wrong. I believe you. Here, we got opening bell, though, so let's fast forward. We'll get past that stupid comment. And then we'll look at the data that's coming out too. So let's see. I'm going to jump over here real quick. I'll just do this. I'll pull up Bitcoin. And then we'll look at the watch list over here, because that's going to be kicking off in a second. Again, Bitcoin having a decent recovery. Let's look over here as the bell opened. We should be hopping into a bell here in a second. I'm amazed they're taking this long. It's almost 8:30. You think they'd do opening bell? Oh, here we go.
Let's get the opening bell here in the CBC real-time exchange with the big board. Everest Construction Group celebrating its spin-off from MDU at the NASDAQ recent IPO. WeRide, a Chinese developer of what else? Autonomous driving technology.
Can't get enough of that, can we? Chinese companies trying to raise money
Should
here
update
at the same
pretty
time
quickly.
they treat our companies
There
so
we go.
poorly. I think it's an anomaly that should be explained by some authorities, but we never get an answer to
There
it.
was a
Riot
time where you did not like
really
any
down that much?
China
It's not
IPO
crazy.
in this country.
No, and I'm pretty down on them. I still believe in Alibaba because
Mara's
it's got
up
American
1%.
financials.
Nvidia's
but I do
up.
believe that,
Cypher's
and
up.
Maybe Baidu, not Pinduoduo.
Hood's up.
But I just think that this is
Tesla's up.
These are they're chits, and I like
Palantir's
Jason
up.
Robbins very much. DraftKings, he runs a more honest shop than the PRC.
Cool.
Are you impressed with the market's ability to shake off this jobs number?
Yes,
sort this by
I just think
losers.
that we should be thinking normally, wow.
PayPal
exit
down again
out
today.
and do
Well, actually, yesterday it did all
provisions,
right.
And maybe we're far worse.
Let's see if there's news on
Instead,
that.
the market says, oh,
I'm glad I
good, we
sold
go
a
to
little
a
bit.
90% chance of a
So
cut.
like
We
50
do need a
grand
cut. There's a
bought
lot of
Bitcoin.
companies now in the last 6 weeks that have not seen good
Google
numbers
down.
because rates bounce back and back up.
All right,
And
let's
I've
check,
got to tell you, I hear it from more and more. I heard it from.
Oh, wait,
I heard it from Lindy last
economic
night,
data, I
which
think, is 8:45. Is that
industrial
right?
gas company saying, look, we need
Canada,
rate cuts.
we got it.
We just need rate cuts. And
Hey,
I
they did
think
better
that
than
you're gonna hear
expected
from
for global
all of the
manufacturing
retailers
PMI.
too, and so you have
And
industrial
expansion.
down a little bit.
That's probably
you have
helpful for
retailers down a
markets.
little bit, and I just think
Could they
it's
have a
time.
trend forming?
They can't be
What about
restrictive.
people who say we just printed a 2.8 GDP and we're tracking for another 2.8 in Q4?
I think these people should do more research. That's what I think. We've had a series of numbers that have come out, and for the most part, they're not, after the banks, not that good. Not a lot of beat and raise situations.
Let me see. Just tuned in. The jobs report was shit, but it's still okay because rate cuts coming. So a little bit different. So we had really horrible private payrolls. There's some noise in there though with the hurricane and with Boeing strikes. So that is some of it. We also had government just go through the roof as usual. Government payrolls 40K versus a forecast of 20. So the government is doing really great. Private stuff not doing great. Some noise from just things that are going on currently. The rest of it looked pretty good. The unemployment rate looked good. The U6 unemployment rate good. A lot of the rest of it looked good. And now we're just waiting in a holding pattern on global manufacturing PMI. And then we've got ISM data coming out and construction spending and new orders and prices at 9. So we're doing good today, I think, off of Amazon. Amazon had a really great quarter. If you look over here, we'll get out of pre-market here and see how they're doing on the day. But Amazon had a really great quarter. Yeah, they're up 7.2%. I think they're pushing the 200 mark. Gosh, if they don't break it today, it's coming soon. And then Nvidia is doing well. We got some energy companies that reported good earnings. So a lot of that looks really good. So the market, I think, is going to have an update today. Volatility is dropping on the VIX. I don't know why PayPal is going down. We could take a look at that in a second. But it looks like, yeah, MSTX and MSTU are starting to come up again. NVIDIA is up. Sol Strategies is up. Riot is up today. ARCG is up today, 2%. It looks like the market's recovering from yesterday. Pretty typical stuff. Tesla's up 1%. Iron's up. Everything's really up. Everything's up and going up. The only things sucking today are volatility and PayPal, which makes me, again, glad I sold some PayPal yesterday. I ended up unloading about 50 to 60,000, I think, between PayPal and, what was it? I think I sold some MU too. And then I used that to buy the dip that was happening in the crypto world yesterday. So I think that's going to turn out all right. Let's look at the CNN Fear and Greed Index. How are we doing today? Whoa, look at that. We're almost in fear, guys. That is beautiful. Let me take a screenshot of that real quick. I hadn't even been paying attention. This is a nice place to bounce. Wow. I don't know why it's not colored, though. Why is it not colored? Is it because of me using this? If I turn this off, does it change? No. It doesn't change. All right, whatever. I'm going to post this real quick, guys. This is great. So yeah, that's a beautiful looking number there. Let's see, how's it doing in the crypto world? Has this thing changed at all? It dropped 2 points. That thing's just so dead and boring as of late. All right, real quickly here. I'm going to jump back over. We're going to look at more bookmarks. We're going to get out of the election stuff. We're going to get over into Bitcoin. And then we'll get over into Tesla. There's a lot to talk about with Tesla, guys. It's very exciting. For Bitcoin, Bitcoin Freedom posted this. He said the status right now is 6 days until a rate cut. ETFs hold over 1 million BTC now. 4 days until the election. Again, the U.S. is just seeing a massive increase in our Bitcoin holdings, whether it's private business or whatever. It's huge. 4 days until the election. 2.3 million 4 days until the election. Wow. 2.3 million BTC on exchanges and falling. Again, getting near record lows that we haven't seen in a very long time. Only 400, and the OTC markets are getting tight too, over-the-counter trade, which is a big deal because if they can't buy it on OTC, they have to go to spot. Only 450 new Bitcoin are mined per day right now. MicroStrategy announced a $42 billion buy program for the next several years. Three to 4 years? Do you guys remember off the top of your head? And BlackRock ETF alone have bought 435,000 BTC since January. So you got to realize by the end of 2025, they're probably going to have more Bitcoin in their holdings than Satoshi Nakamoto. Matt Nintendo, Jesse, if you could, would you add BTC-related investments or other? Yeah, fuck yeah, right now especially. Let's listen real quickly here to Jimmy Petronas in Florida talking about Bitcoin and saying you're making a mistake if you're not getting involved.
Next guest is pushing to invest Florida state pension funds into crypto. Let's bring in Florida CFO Jimmy Petronas.
3 years is the length of the 42
It's good
billion.
to see you again.
Crazy.
It's been a while, Mr. Petronas.
Thanks, well capitalized.
Great to be with you, Joe.
This, I guess, is in response to some, comments from former President Trump regarding a U.S. strategic crypto reserve, which, interestingly, would follow. Next guest is pushing to invest, something that we've seen in Wisconsin and Michigan, and you sent a letter to the State Board of Administration, I guess, sort of pitching this idea. It's not something that I guess a lot of people think is, with the fiduciary responsibilities of state pensions, they don't maybe always think of crypto or Bitcoin in that respect. Why do you?
Well, crypto's not going anywhere. It's not going to contract. It's going to continue to be expanding. And I think we'd be a fool if we're not prepared to do everything we can to harness the opportunities there. Yes, I'm a fiduciary over the state's pension funds, and I need to make sure that the legislature is armed with all the tools and resources. So I put it to our SBA investment team. Let's get all the tools on the dashboard. Let's look at
Here, 1 second. I'm going to speed them up.
everything that we can do to possibly leverage this opportunity. I'm very bullish on Florida. You can probably figure that out by now. But as we had 400,000 new net Floridians come to Florida last year alone, our state's reserves are 4 times now higher than they were in 2020. So again, we're in a good place. I like to pay down debt. I see there's an opportunity that's very bright with Florida's future, but we need to be prepared for what crypto can bring to our investment portfolio.
Do you think China is trying to fool the rest of the world into thinking they're not interested in crypto? I mean, they've in the past they've said some negative things about Bitcoin. You think we need to stay ahead technologically, and that China, in fact, is making and is interested in making inroads into crypto?
No, look, if you're not paying attention to it, you're making a mistake. It is real. It's not going anywhere. I mean, again, like I said, I'm very bullish on Florida. You know, we saw a surge of cryptocurrency interest and activity as we had 2020 in Miami. I think that at one point you're going to see Miami as the crypto capital of the world. But I'm going to continue to push forward to make sure that we're doing everything possible to take advantage of this. It's not emerging. It's here.
Jimmy, this is an interesting, just a quote. Recently, Governor DeSantis also leaned forward to protect the personal finances of Floridians from government overreach and woke corporate monitoring, and by signing legislation to fight back against the central bank digital currency, CBDC. So you're actually looking at this, the CBDC is a centralized currency, which is sort of the antithesis to what crypto or Bitcoin aims to be. So there's a sort of a tinge of some political rhetoric in that comment there. So you think that the government's going to continue to print too much money? You think Bitcoin is a way for Floridians to maintain purchasing power?
Yes.
Thank you for making those points, because that's exactly where our head is on this. We look at the failed policies of Washington. I hope President Trump is going to be able to turn around, but I don't think it's going to happen overnight. He's walking into a real mess. But we need to be able to have a hedge against this massive overreach by the federal government with a centralized currency. Look, I don't want the
I agree.
federal government knowing when my son went to the grocery store to go buy a bag of Doritos at 2:15 in the afternoon. So we need to have some protections in place. And I think where we make it a welcome and interesting expansion of dialogues in Florida, and maybe even a greater expansion. We have about $800 million in crypto-related investments in our state portfolio, but I would not be shocked to be able to see that growing under a Trump administration in the near future.
One sec here. We're going to end that. And I do want to take a look at that more. So what is this? Stephen Mola claims the 2009 Satoshi news. This guy? This guy. This is Satoshi Nakamoto. All right, fuck it. I'll bite. This looks entertaining.
Well, more things people knows about the Genesis block. Quote, Chancellor on brink of second bailout.
Oh, Jesus, dude. All right, I can't watch it. Let's look at what Tom Lee posted about it. Yeah. I agree. Look at this. This is retarded. Oh my God. There's always something new. All right, let's go back over here. So again, Florida seems to understand what's up, and they want to they care about the purchasing power, and they want to be able to help their state survive whatever might be coming. And I agree with that. I actually think Trump can do a lot with Elon Musk. I think he's underestimating that, but I do think, again, there's major risks in our economy right now, in the world, and Bitcoin helps with it. So I like his approach. Donald J. Trump, 20 hours ago, said, "I would like to wish our great Bitcoiners a happy 16th anniversary of Satoshi's white paper. As war on crypto and Bitcoin, and it will be made in the USA. Vote Trump, hashtag Bitcoin, hashtag free Ross on day one." I actually agree with this target. I know it looks insane. This looks insane, right? Because you're not looking at it in logarithmic. But I do believe that this is my high target, $280,000 on Bitcoin. So I don't think this is insane. Documenting Saylor has Michael Saylor says Bitcoin is going to eat gold live on CNBC. This is just the other day. I want to hear it. It's 1 minute and 46 seconds.
Bitcoin crossing the $70,000 mark for the first time on Friday. This morning, it's now above $72,000. Joining us right now to talk Bitcoin is Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy Executive Chairman, and 8K out from the company this morning, revealing it just bought more than $800 million in Bitcoin. As of the end of last month, his company held about 200,000 Bitcoins. And Michael, I want to thank you for joining us. You have been early and courageous, and you continue to double down. I want to talk about where you think Bitcoin is, but also want to talk about how you think about MicroStrategy and your company as a proxy for Bitcoin now that ETFs are available to the public.
Sure. Well, I think I'd start just with Bitcoin. Bitcoin
ETFs have been
is
available
certainly
for
at
over
least
3
digital
quarters.
gold. It's going to eat gold. It's got all of the great attributes of gold, and it's got none of the defects of gold. If you could teleport gold from New York to Tokyo in a few minutes, people would like it. It's going to divert capital from risk assets and risk ETFs like SPY, and you can see that these ETFs are doing that. It's going to be incorporated into a lot of funds like the BlackRock Global Opportunities Fund or the Strategic Income Opportunities Fund. And so it's an asset class. As it goes into other funds, it's going to become structural. The halving's going to cut the organic supply of natural sellers in half around April 20th. That means there's only about $32 million a day of natural sellers. And the price of Bitcoin is going to have to adjust up in order to meet that investor demand. So I think that's what's going to happen next to the asset class.
Yeah, I agree. We're going up. Let's see. This is a masterclass. Saylor is a legend. This is 16 minutes. I'll probably skip this. Bitwise CIO tells Yahoo Finance, I think we're going above 100,000. I mean, we are. We definitely are. This guy's been around for a while, too. He's kind of an OG. Somewhat of an OG.
I think the most important thing for Bitcoin is that the election happens. Regardless of a Trump win or a Harris win, the regulatory setting for Bitcoin is improving.
I do agree with that, but again, if our economy goes to shit, we don't want our purchasing power to be offsetting the gains that we get in Bitcoin.
And I think that's what you're seeing reflected in the price. Of course, in the short term, crypto favors a Trump victory over a Harris victory.
Yes.
But really, Bitcoin doesn't need Washington to succeed.
But we do need America to succeed if we don't live in a shithole country.
Regardless,
I feel like this is a nuance that people need to focus on more.
Of what happens, institutions are moving into the space, adoption is rising, ETF flows are happening. I think we go higher either way. It just might be a little bit faster under Trump.
Yeah, and then when we talk about that, maybe a clarity from a regulation perspective, right? How much of that is necessary in order to continue that momentum, even potentially past 100,000?
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, I think we're going above 100,000 on Bitcoin. I think the regulatory clarity you're talking about actually matters more for the so-called altcoins, for Ethereum on down. Those are more exposed to regulatory risk.
We have an
so
ETF on Bitcoin,
guys.
Altcoin
rally,
please.
Even more so than a Bitcoin rally in the event of a Trump win. But regardless, I think both are moving higher.
Why does it matter as much for Bitcoin?
Yeah, so Bitcoin has more regulatory clarity than Ethereum and other assets. The SEC, the CFTC have already declared it a commodity. It's in the clear. There's already an ETF. BlackRock already has a huge business in that. That's not as true for Solana and Aptos and other altcoins, but I suspect if we get a new SEC, that will become clear, that will drive institutional adoption, and we'll see that rising tide lift all of those boats.
What then do you think is the number one catalyst for Bitcoin as you look ahead to some of your 2025 projections?
Look, I think this is the best single time to invest in Bitcoin from a risk-adjusted perspective. All of the major existential risks of Bitcoin have been washed away. We have an ETF, we have institutions, they are coming into the space. The biggest catalyst is that move of institutional adoption. We're seeing that accelerate.
I actually agree with everything he's saying. I do want to take a look here, though. It looks like we do have economic data that came out, so let's just look at it. So the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI is 48.5 in the U.S., which is higher than consensus and previous. Still in contraction territory, which isn't great. We want to see this go higher. But because, again, we had this nice trend since early 2023 where it was going up. And then we had this massive dive that started really, after July into August, September. And now we're just starting to curl up. So we do need to see this going higher. So that should be hopefully optimistic. I do see, though. Am I still bullish on CleanSpark? Yes, I have not changed my opinion because the price went down. It's not how I work. But I am seeing over here, though, that PayPal's down 3.32%, which makes me wish I would have sold more yesterday. But whatever. It was a good cause. SoFi down 2.5%, so it taken a hit, even though it looked really strong in yesterday's market. So the PayPal was strong in yesterday's market because it had suffered so much the day before. And SoFi was strong in yesterday's market because, again, it had suffered so much the day before. Today, they're getting hit. MicroStrategy's down, not a ton. But I don't know if that's because maybe we're starting to sell some MicroStrategy stocks so that we can start buying Bitcoin. Very possible. Bitcoin has been dropping. It had a nice little drop, so maybe that's something that Michael Saylor's thinking about today. Hood down less than 1%. I actually think Hood's in a strong bounce zone right here. And let's see, what's the rest of this doing? Let me sort the other way here. See what's winning today. Soul Strategy's winning today. Again, it got pretty beat up. Say, Injective, Arbitrum. Seeing a lot of layer 2 solutions for Ethereum doing well today. Let's see. Let's actually look at the crypto heat map and see. Yeah, so Ethereum is actually even outperforming Solana. I think that could happen for a while. Ethereum is so beat up. It's just not nearly as good. Look at this. Even Cardano is doing better. So some of the shittier ones appear to be doing better lately than some of the ones that, have stronger maybe fundamentals behind them. Let's go back over here. Sorry, I meant to go here. So Render doing well today. I know there's Render OG that's probably loving that. Coinbase is up today. Riot's up. Nvidia up. Solana up. ETH up. CleanSpark up 2.12%. ArcG up 1.4. Bitfarms up 1.3. Mara up 1.3. So we're seeing a recovery in the Bitcoin sector after getting really beat up. And then I think, again, and oil's up to $71. I don't think that'll hold. I think we're in a chop. We're in a chop period, though, guys. Palantir is not something I would be invested in right now. I don't understand why ETH is still a thing with Solana around. Yeah. Intel is up 6.46%. That's great, but expectations were so low on that. They were so low. So it's not really surprising, honestly. Hash rate on Bitcoin breaking new highs. That's a little bit old. That's like a day ago. And again, the $3 trillion Microsoft shareholder vote. I don't know how long this still goes into effect, or if we've already gotten the results. But again, the board was recommending no, and Vanguard is like one of the biggest contributors to the board, and they're very much against Bitcoin. Monthly active users on Solana are just insane. Would you open leaps on Intel? No. I've been fooled by that company so much. Carvana puts her up. I believe it. Marvell, 52-week high. Cool. Lim Jing Young, any interest in the cloud sector for long-term play? Amazon, Google, Microsoft, all expecting. Yeah, I don't know. I think NVIDIA is still probably going to do the best as it's supplying them with all the infrastructure. I do think that some of these companies will do really well long-term, though. I mean, again, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all to have massive amount of cash flow, massive amounts of money earning high interest. And the Magnificent Seven are all a huge part of that. So I don't think it hurts. Let's look. What do we have? What's the next piece of economic data? ISM manufacturing and all the construction and spending. So that's coming out at 9. So we got 9 minutes on that. Let me just see. So I think we're done on the Bitcoin part. Let's jump to Tesla. Tesla's huge, guys. Yeah, huge. So Peggy said, bro, what? FSD version 13 is unsupervised? It will be. That's the plan. Ashok said, lots of work, but the team's aiming to get the feature complete for unsupervised FSD in version 13. There is so much signal here. So much signal. And I said Tesla has no competition because Ford is going to stop F-150 Lightning production due to weak demand. Isn't that pathetic? Wired Magazine, a tech publication, is rooting for Elon Musk to have his citizenship revoked and be removed from this country. I just don't even know what to say anymore about left-leaning politicians and people in the tech community. Roland said, this is what the new Tesla sales record for the first month of the quarter in Norway looks like. A lot of them look like this. Q4 is exceeding previous records. You're going to see tons of this. Tesla is continuing to enter new markets and continuing to exceed in markets year after year. And do you think the F-150 is the This was a Tesla killer. The Ford F-150 was another Tesla killer. And it's dead. It's dead. I put over here, Tesla has no competition. I say this over and over again. Why? Because NIO is going to be destroyed. NIO has no growth. No growth at all. NIO faces enormous competition in its home market of China. The rest of the world, ex-China, is a loss leader. NIO has no traction in non-Chinese markets. Battery swapping is a failed strategy. Who could have told us that? I don't know, maybe Tesla and me? Creates a permanent drag on the company. NIO invested too much to change course, i.e. is deeply trapped in the sunk cost fallacy, just like NIO investors in NIO. Yes, AJ. I like AJ. He's a good shit. You guys should follow him. Red flag. NIO recently withdrew cash flow disclosure. I estimate the company has a loss of $1.5 billion in H1 of 2024. Do not invest in NIO. I don't know how many times I got to say this. And then there's Tesla. There's Elon Musk and everything he represents. Which companies do you want to be invested in? This is one of them. I said yesterday, you could stop watching my fucking streams. You could stop contributing to my channel. You could literally just buy Tesla and buy Bitcoin, never look at anything again, and just keep dollar cost averaging into those, and you'll be rich. So you could save yourself a lot of time. Just stop watching all these investment people and just do this over the next 10 years. Sawyer Merritt said Tesla is already using their brand new Cortex supercomputer training cluster in Giga Texas. Tesla FSD version 13 is first fully new version of FSD to use Cortex. Tesla says 5x training compute using scaling versus with version 13. Tesla increased its AI compute by 75% in Q3 thanks to 29,000 H100 GPUs installed in Giga Texas last quarter, and expect 50,000 more H100 capacity by the end of October. That will eventually increase to 100,000 H100s. That's not even including the H200s that are going to be coming in later. There's signal here. Massive signal. You know where else there's signal? We'll get to it in a second. This is Coley Tesla Megapack energy storage system that just started operating in Western Australia. It's the largest battery in the part of the country. This battery helps replace coal-fired generators. We'll be replicating this sort of project in the future. This is just stage one. The second stage will make this $1 billion stationary battery project one of the largest in the world. Signal. This is signal. You know why this is signal? You know why this is signal? I'll let the video show you. There was a fire in this house. It wasn't the Model Y. So this Tesla Model Y still works, and the battery did not catch on fire. This is the kind of product Tesla provides. I mean, I wouldn't drive it. It probably smells like shit. But isn't this the kind of car you want? Also, Tesla Semi-Factory installing roof insulation. This is crazy. This is going up so fast. So fast. Astronomically quick. Dalton Brewer says, Ashok just said, yeah, this is talking about how version 13 is going to be unsupervised. Again, just amazing. Volkswagen profits. Again, this is from the 30th as well. This has all just happened this last week, guys. Volkswagen profits fell 42% in Q3, while vehicle sales fell 8.3%. Tesla has no competition. And I think we watched a little bit of this. Or maybe we didn't. If you understand this about Elon Musk, you'll know why he's all in on Trump. I don't know if I played this already, but it's 100. If you guys don't follow Stephen Mark Ryan, follow him. He's great. So again, I'm done, I think, with all that stuff. We can quickly, we got only 2.5 minutes for the next data point. If you guys have stocks you want me to look at, throw them out now. And then after we're done with this economic data point, we'll get to them. I'm going to switch over here. I will not have an afternoon show. There is no market recap. It's Friday. It's my daughter's last day of school at her current school. She didn't like it. She's switching back to one that she had went to before, trying to find her place in the world. And so I'm trying to give her the opportunity to move forward and fail and try new things and figure out what works for her. And she's going to be going back to her old school on Monday. But I told her I'd pick her up because the kids at school kept giving her a hard time. So yesterday I picked her up in the Cybertruck. Today I'm doing it again because they keep saying that she's got a rental. And she don't have a rental. So we're going to show those little fuckers on the last day of school what a non-rental Cybertruck looks like. So she's my priority over everything else. And so I'll be spending time with her. And then we also have a Halloween get-together this afternoon at my house. Just celebrating with some close friends that are my lifelong friends. So my daughter is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. She looked cute in her little outfit. I'd posted something on Facebook with mine too. Not as cute as she is, but she's in here somewhere. I don't know. Somebody made a comment about not posting her. I don't give her name on social media. Maybe I shouldn't post her picture either. You might be right. She's a cutie though, and I'm just proud of her as a human being. She's amazing. I got it in here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, my kid in my Cybertruck. That's my baby girl. I love her. She's 10, almost 11. This is the only time I let her wear makeup, really. On Halloween, but yeah, It was a fun night. We had a really great time. Our neighborhood is great. It's one of those classic Americana neighborhoods. We're a little bit off of it in the Morgado location, a couple of blocks away from like the really nice neighborhood. But the nice neighborhood is just so iconic, and it's like got everybody. They had a rock band playing last night. It was so cool, and it's just beautiful. Yeah. Kids are amazing though, man. Kids can be really amazing. Oh, hey, I'm going to like this real quick. We got our data coming out in a couple of seconds, and I am going to put my portfolio back out there. I've had it closed for a while. I got to find my video here, though, and re-promote it. Please respond to stuff and things on the above. There you go. Very formal. All right, so let's get excited, guys. Here comes the data points. Let's see what we did, and then we'll check out Rick Santelli. Yeah, I normally don't post the kid online. I've never posted my family online, actually, at all on X. Probably won't post another one. But I just love my baby girl. All right, let's see here. ISM guys, 46.5 versus 47.5 and 47.6 for forecast and expected. So lower than in contraction territory, not good. Lower than expected. Manufacturing employment, 44.4, in between consensus and forecast. Construction spending month over month, 0.1%. We were expecting 0.5 for forecast. Ouch. Consensus was 0. ISM manufacturing new orders, 47.1, slightly better than 47 for forecast and consensus. Manufacturing prices, hot. Ouch. Coming in at forecast at 48.5 and 49, coming in at 54.8. What a mixed bag of nuts today, guys. Fuck. We don't want to see prices going up, and we want to see ISM manufacturing going into expansion. We'll see what Rick Santelli has to say about this. Let me just go over here real quickly, though, right here, and see how things are still doing. So, seeing less companies beating now. Probably more stuff going red. Bitcoin's still doing all right today, but PayPal still taking a hit. MicroStrategy, Hood taking a hit. SoFi taking a hit. AMD taking a hit. Meta taking a hit. Not a crazy one. We'll see how markets perform here. Definitely interesting to see what happens with, I think our chances of bond increases, or rate increases, rate reductions, God, I can't think, are probably greater after all the economic data we got today. But let's listen to Rick Santelli here and see what he has to say. 1 second. Going to go back a little bit. Here we go.
While Exxon increased their dividend and more than 6%.
Good morning for that, of course. Let's get back to Rick Santelli. Hey, Rick.
Absolutely, we do. Construction spending for the month of September expected to be unchanged. Comes in a bit better at up 1/10, and last month's minus sign at minus a tenth becomes positive 1/10. So that's pretty good, reversing a stretch of negative numbers since June. If we look at the ISM manufacturing complex, well, the headline number 46.5 is definitely a miss, sequentially lower than the 47.2. 46.5, well, that is the weakest going back to June of last year when it was 46.4. If we look at prices paid, this is a number we want to see going down, but it remains above 50, 54.8, well above the estimate, which was exactly at 50.
Yeah, that sucks.
Last month it was 48.3. 54.8 takes you to the highest level since May of this year. But last month at 48.3 was the weakest of the year. So a big reversal on prices paid. On new orders, 47.1. That's a whole point above the 46.1 in our last look. That is good news, but it remains in contraction territory under 50. And finally, we just had the employment report. This number is expected to be at 45 on the employment index, comes in light at 44.4. That's sequentially following 43.9. And I would like to point out, even though all yields are down for the day except for a 30-year bond, 10s are almost unchanged. Short maturities are down a handful. But on the week, Everything is up on the week, and I consider that important considering how big of a move we've had in yields upward since this.
Yeah, so what sucked before, the prices paid were too high and our output was too low for the PMI. We were watching bond yields come down. And now we're just going to tick back. Actually, they started ticking back up at 9. Why 9 o'clock? What was... Oh, yeah. Okay, that's because the ISM manufacturing... Well, the ISM manufacturing at 9 was weaker than expected. Global manufacturing PMI was higher than consensus, though, and it's probably the number they were paying attention to at 845. Is that when we started to flip? Let's look here. Yeah, it's probably 845, or at least it bottomed a little bit before 9 and then started going back up.
September.
I don't think the prices paid being high is going to... I don't know. I don't think it's going to help that narrative at all.
Jobs report.
I do still think we're topping on the yields on bonds, but I think, again, we might be up there for the remainder, maybe early part of next week.
Which really does underscore what you pointed out, Carl. There's a lot of nuance to today's jobs number. Leslie, back to you.
Yes, there certainly has been a big move in the last few weeks in the Treasury complex.
So to put it into perspective, guys, we are seeing the heat map going lower for a lot of things. Tesla's almost flat. Amazon's only up 6.2. These numbers were looking better a minute ago, and they're starting to roll over a little bit. I could see more of that happening.
Thank you.
Don't love the numbers at all. But I do love bad numbers heading into an election because fuck Kamala Harris. And this can only benefit. This can only benefit us. So I'm okay losing money heading into an election. I've been very clear about that. I actually would prefer that the data be bad. I would rather have us lose money right now and have this election reflect the fact that this economy is not great and rosy like they're trying to paint.
At least 10 firms raising their price targets on Amazon this morning, and shares, well...
Amazon is really the thing holding up markets today. It's not the economic data. It's definitely Amazon.
Oh, they're very high, much higher this morning, up more than 6.5%. Our Kate Rooney has been tracking the action
totally
for us.
agree, chicken bro.
Hey, Leslie, good morning. Yeah, so Amazon really delivered exactly what investors wanted to see for the quarter. Better profitability while still investing in growth. The street was really focused on margin expansion and better operating profits, especially in that retail business, 5.9% margin.
She is right. I might let her finish her thought on Amazon because the company is doing great. But Bitcoin, guys, Bitcoin. I just want to speak to the strength that we're seeing here. Might not be seeing it in MSTR today, but boy, are we seeing it in the rest of the Bitcoin investments. Look at that bounce. Yeah, last night we got to 68.7. I don't know. We could have even said, and you know what? I need to redraw this. This is different now. This is different. So I had my daily right here, right? So, but I had that as like the low end because I want to make sure that we found support on it. But I would argue that we can actually draw this up, maybe even to the wicks now, because again, I want to see the first level of potential support now, right? So I want to take this back. I want to draw this like maybe here, where we have, again, candles, and then over here, look at what happened last night. And I'd have to probably zoom in a little bit to make sure this is accurate. But I would argue this. I would argue that we got a perfect bounce off of what was before daily resistance. And this isn't all the way to candle body. You know what? I should do it that way. That's better representation of daily. And I'm in daily, so let's do that. Let's see what it looks like. It's probably going to be similar, just a different angle. So I'll draw them to the dailies. Yeah, it's totally the same. It's beautiful, actually. It looks better this way. It looks more real. So again, resistance. Didn't make it to resistance. And then now, look what's happened. We broke above, we back tested, and now we're sitting in a trade range that's just ready for launch, doing this sideways consolidation until we decide to go higher. I like this setup on Bitcoin today, guys. This is a hell of a bounce. How much is this? This is just a beautiful technical resurgence here, guys. This is a really good number. So Bitcoin, since it's low just the other night, is up 3.5%. That's nothing, but it's a beautiful technical pattern, and I think it's just readying for its launch either way, no matter what happens. All right, let's look through comments here. I think bad data is bullish for Trump. Agreed. The Jacobian Ghost. Could you check out asymmetric play with, which I'm considering for my 1%, something like DLO? What was the asymmetric play? Is it DLO you're asking for or something else? You got to give me the ticker again, dude, because I have had so many comments. Alex Garcia, haha, book and tackles, BTC's moving. Yes, it is. Chris Federal, I don't think it matters most voters at this point. Most voters don't have a clue, let alone understand economics. They don't have a clue, but if they see headlines talking about how things are bad before the election, that's good. It's good for Trump. Bart, I'm just loading Hood on every dip. I think that's smart. They had a big dip yesterday. I bought a little bit of Hood too. I might buy more in the future. Mike Lauk, agree, Chris. Most voters are so sick of election right now. They just want it to be over. Yeah, I just hope they vote the right way. Otherwise, we're fucked. And then they'll care. By the time they care, maybe it's too late. Chad Ventures, SPX is going higher despite the data again. Ligola, 87. Hey, Jesse, genuinely curious. Besides buying BTC, how are you hedging? I'm not. And I don't know if that's the right decision or not, but I don't want to believe in a world where American democracy is dead. So, and either way, Bitcoin goes up, right? Whether we destroy this country or not, Bitcoin goes up. So that's kind of my hedge. All right, Jacobian Ghost, ticker NNDM. Yes, I'll look at it. And I don't know if people gave more. If he gave more, I might have fucking missed him. I got to go back. All right. Yeah, NNDM. We can look at that. Let's look over here, though, first. NNDM. Did you guys see, is trading back for CleanSpark on Robinhood? Was that a weird anomaly? So let's just look at the yearly on NNDM. This is Nano Dimension. This is a company that headquarters in Illinois, computer hardware. Short interest, 7%. Massive growth in 2022 and then decent growth into 2023. Estimates going forward show them doing all right. EPS actually looks like it's going to be really good. There is no insider activity. Institutional ownership is kind of flatlined, but it went up a lot since 2020. Short interest is not crazy. Weird data, though. Weird data. This operating leverage is just fucking strange. They don't have any... They're getting closer to cash flow positivity. They don't have debt. They've got a lot of bonds, $532 million in bonds. They seem like... what had happened in this quarter? Why is there a data anomaly? Is that just on here? We'll take a look at TradingView because this one is kind of intriguing me. It seems like we're missing... Alejandro, if you see this, it seems like we're missing a quarter, and I don't know why. There's a ton of retail interest in this. Not a lot of institutional. Insider and institutional are low. This is really a retail trade. 510 employee or 19 employees. Yes, we're missing a quarter indeed. The Jacobian, they bought two companies, DM and Mark Forged. Revenue will increase over 350 million, and we'll have 500. Interesting. Okay. Is that why there's an anomaly in the quarter data too, or is that something else? Let me. This one is you got me interested. So let's. What was this? NNDM? Was that what it was? NNDM. Okay. So I am going to save this because it's fascinating. Just seeing the level of growth in revenue, and I like the fact that they're getting closer to cash flow positive. I know nothing about this company. Let's just start with that. So it could be a total fraud. I don't know. Maybe it's just right in the coattails. I don't hate the stock price, though. What the fuck is going on here, bro? This one needs some research. This is weird. Definitely looks like a bottoming pattern. Ugly ass chart. If you just gave me this chart and we were like right here, I would be like GTFO. But that was in May of 2022, and now we're in September of 2024. So almost 2.5 years later. You like the CEO. I need more information about this. I need more information about this company. I'm going to add this to the Discord, guys. If you have more information on this company, throw it out. We need to have conversations about it. because it's either a complete fraud or it's an amazing investment opportunity. But it's probably asymmetric either way. So let me just look up here again. So the forward PE, it probably isn't super well calculated. It's 1. We've had all this negative. But if this thing flips to positive, it says enterprise value is negative $265 million. There's, I got to figure, Israeli 3D printing company? Is that what this is? Oh, they're Israeli. That's even more exciting. Israeli stocks got really butchered. Fuck, dude. This is fascinating. I don't do this much anymore, but I do want to make a note real quick. It was a previous Cathie Wood retail fave. Huh. You got me interested, bro. I'm going to add this real quickly, so let me just save this chart and then get it in the Discord right away. All the information you guys are sharing right now, save it. Throw it in the Discord. Let's get a good conversation going about this company, because I am interested. I need to know more. NNDM. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. All right. Let me see here. I gotta be more consistent on the way I format these. I like to put the $ sign so you know it is the ticker. All right. Let's pin this. Get rid of the stupid embeds. This is amazing, though. This is... Did I pin it? Oh, I didn't pin it. This is exciting. Yeah, dude. So if you guys are in Discord, throw it in Discord, please. It was a meme stock back then. And that happens. The chart definitely reflects a meme stock. You can see meme stock vibes here, right? I can only imagine what the market cap and valuation were back then. So let's see. When this thing went live... So first off, when it went live, it was 2015. It meme stocked in what? 2021? February 2021? That totally makes sense. So just let's go off of that date here. So since that date, it went down 89%. So it definitely meme stocked. Definitely got a high valuation. I feel you. But just for this thing to get back, it's $4. It almost doubles. And then it's $4.45. It doubles just to get to the first fib. And this thing's a $17 stock if it gets to the .618 before it would be likely to retrace. EOC we can take a look at. I've shit on that one a bunch in the past, but I don't know. I don't know. I've got to look at it more. But this is fascinating. I want to know more. I want to know more about the stock, guys. Throw everything you have about this thing inside of Discord. I want to know more. I love the fact that it's Israeli. I love the fact that it meme stocked and died. I'm intrigued by why we don't have a quarter in here, but I'm very optimistic looking at the amount of growth that's happened. Because again, look at this Q4 2021. This company went, guys, from revenue in a quarter of about 1.34 million to 7.5 to 10.43 to 11, a little bit of a retracement, up to 12, up to 15. Now we've kind of been hovering around the 15 range, but our estimate or forward guidance is even higher at 16 million. So this is exciting. This is interesting. I definitely want to know more. EOC, we can look at that real quick. I want to look at financials in it, though, because I've shit on this company a lot. I might have to change that. We'll see. I don't know. It's just service revenue's going up. Is that good? I hope so. Product revenue, though, is so hit or miss. And just the revenues for this company are depressing. Their cash flow is a disaster. Their share issuance is a disaster. If you've owned this stock, you've been utterly devastated. The fact that they're losing $52 million in a quarter where they only made less than $1 million speaks to the company. Okay? If I was looking at this company, and again, their forward guidance is insane for Q4. Well, I mean, compared to what they've done, it's only $47 million. It's not really that much money. But this company is valued at almost $1 billion corporation. And an insane quarter for them and a huge leap in revenue is $47 million with them still losing money. So if I had to look at these two, if I had to look at EOC, whatever the fuck, EOS Energy Enterprises, or the one we just looked at, NNDM, I would be putting my asymmetric bet on NNDM. Now, don't get me wrong, maybe this gets better, but yeah, Mikhail says if you want a butchered Israeli U.S. stock, check out SEDG. Might have to look at that too. Yeah, so I don't love I'll pull up the chart real quickly for EOC. I'm imagining it just looks painful. If it's went up a lot, I would be more worried. So it has resurged. Ugh. So it went from 67 cents to 340. I don't know, man. This looks frightening to me. I'm going to get out of this chart, though. This is just a fib retracement. This probably isn't fair. What we need to be looking at is probably like this to this. And again, maybe I'm missing the fundamentals of why this company is so great. I think there's just a lot of bag holders. Ooh, you're hitting a resistance on the one. So yeah, this thing should retrace. And if you look over here, let's look at something real quick on the weekly, guys. Let's just look at this. So we've got this that's formed since July. It is a bearish divergence. Oh, I hate it when this happens. It is a bearish divergence. God dang it. I hate it when that happens. I hate it when it just starts bugging out on me. It's a bearish divergence. Even now, even with this big uptick, it's still a bearish divergence to the downside. This is driving me fucking nuts. I hate this. So it wants to roll back over. I would be worried heading into earnings. I don't know why this is happening. I would be worried heading into earnings, just at a glance, guys. Just at a glance. Let me see real quickly. Let me look real quickly here. Are the calls, PayPal calls are down? Yeah, probably. They run as like a 3 to 5x conservatively against the underlying. They could be 10x. So they're pretty cheap. It doesn't surprise me that they're getting cheap with everything dropping. Yeah, let me go through a couple more here. I think I missed a few. Little behind on the stream. NNDM is interesting. I got caught holding the bag, $15 a share when I was a newbie investor. It was a Cathie Wood type stock. Yep. Dilution tracker has 230 million float. Coming from the final countdown. This is Nano. Yeah, and I mean, I'm less worried. I'm way more worried about EOC than I am NNDM. Let me just look over here. Yeah, I don't know. Again, that one quarter, there might be some weirdness here that I need to understand. Jesse said earnings on the 5th for EOC. Shale, ARK, ETF, PRNT holds this one. Oh, they've got an ETF. ARK still has one. All right. It's print is the ETF. That's interesting. Oh, because the 3D printing. Ah, gotcha. Interesting. That might be an interesting play depending upon what options it has. Because again, like ARKG can give you a 10x with options. So can print give that? Very interesting. If you guys are in the Discord, man, put this stuff in there. Sean Slee, could you take a look at GSAT? Yes, I can. And let me just real quickly, I want to look at the market super fast and see how things are going too. Just to make sure that I'm paying attention and not losing track. So Bitcoin's still looking good, holding on pretty strong. Let's look over here real quick and just do a quick sort. So Sol Strategy's up 18% today. Like, it's just retarded. And Riot is up 6.66. Kind of scary with that percentage, but hey, great for Riot. Congratulations. I know they got crushed on earnings. Nice to see a bounce back. Cypher up 5, Coin up 5, MSTU up 5, Iron up almost 5, CleanSpark up almost 5. Feeling good about my selling PayPal yesterday and putting 60 grand into Bitcoin related investments so far. That appears to be the right decision. People always question me when I'm doing it, but it usually turns out good later, because when you're buying things that are up on a day or flat, like yesterday PayPal was up over 1% on average, and then you're selling, or I'm sorry, I should say you're selling those and then buying something that's down over 30% on the day. In some cases, with some of the stuff I was buying yesterday, it usually turns out pretty good. NVIDIA up 3%. Yeah, so market is taking things in stride. You're 100% right about that. It does appear like it's bouncing back pretty good. Again, Amazon took a little bit of haircut, but NVIDIA is doing great, probably off Intel. And the rest of the market, Tesla's up 0.5%, so the market's taking things in stride today. You're 100% right about that. Let's look at the next one here. So PRNT, I'm curious. I'll look at that later, Shale. I definitely throw that stuff in the Discord if you have it, guys. Let's look at GSAT. That was the other one that came from Sean Slee. And we'll just keep working down the line. I will give you guys a little bit of time here today to go over some of these things since I've missed a few. I haven't done a lot of stock picks in a while. GlobalStar, this sounds familiar. 10% revenue growth. Forward PE is 0.85. What the actual fuck? Some of this, they've had a bunch of negative net income. Debt is a little high. A decent amount of share dilution. Not recently, but every once in a while they do dilute shares. Is there a pattern on when? Q4 of last year they diluted. Do they do that all the time? No. Here it was Q1. Here it was Q2. Here it was Q2. So they have done share dilution, but they got positive free cash flow. They're seeing revenue growth. Their estimates are showing kind of flat. I mean, it really hasn't grown a lot. If you're kind of cheating here and looking at Q1 of 2023, where after they had that big surge, it's kind of been flat. Institutional ownership has been growing since the pandemic. Short interest has been in decline because the company doesn't look like it's dying. Not much to see for insider activity. I do like this, right? I like this, the operating leverage difference. Look at their operating expenses going down and look at their revenue going up. This is what you want to see with the company. You want to see that continue. 15% stock-based comp is high. I don't love that. But could this be a company that actually is going profitable in the future? They are a $2.5 billion company. Enterprise value is 2.8, pulling in $60 million in revenues and losing $9.7 million last quarter. But free cash flow is a very important number. It was $33 million last quarter. So, gosh, this seems interesting. What all do these guys do? Out of Louisiana, telecommunication services. Can you guys tell me what they do? I'm going to look this one up, and I'm going to add it into my stock list. I'm probably going to put it on the Discord because it is interesting. So let me throw that in there. 1 second here. I don't think I have this one. I'll look to see if I have it. I don't think I do. GSAT. Nope. Okay, so let's add this one. Let's go up here, make a copy. GSAT. So this is interesting. You guys have some good ones, man. Sometimes you guys give me like some crazy, like EOC. I think of that more as like a meme stock. It's up 8% on the day, so I can't shit talk it too much, but this looks like a rollover. Could it break out? Maybe, but look, resistance. Tried to find support. Couldn't find support, or I should say this, found resistance under it, right? Couldn't find support. Found resistance. Found resistance. Tried to get above it. Got above it. Couldn't hold it. Broke down. Tried to get above it. Broke down. Coming back up to test it again. I don't know. Looking at the financials, this seems like a breakdown zone. And you've had a massive increase in percentage. So stuff like this I don't love. But things like, you know, this Israeli company, and it sounds like there might be another one to look at, GlobalStar, at least these financials look interesting. And this company's up 26% today. Fuck. So probably not the day I would want to get into it, but definitely yesterday would have been a good day during the sell-off because this is a tight consolidation range. One would say this. You could almost say this, though. It's in kind of a sketchy place, right? From a technical pattern, because one could look at this and be like, oh, guys, this is a descending triangle. And that's bad. You don't want that at all. And if it would have kept breaking down, you could say that. And it could still break down again and maybe offer a really good buy point. That's when you should be talking to me, bro. If we broke down to like 70 cents on this thing, and then it turned into something like this, and let me just zoom in a little bit better. I can't even get it on the daily because it's just such a huge, I'm going to have to look at this on the weekly, but yeah, so let's draw this up a little bit. Let's get it at least to, candle body territory. But if it did something like this, and maybe we're already in that, if it broke down to like here, I'm going to actually set an alert here because I want to know. Let me do once per bar because that way every time it hits it, I know. But if it did something like this, where it's a descending wedge type pattern, or like not a descending triangle, or a descending channel where it's like even, but it's a descending wedge. If we got down to like 80 cents or something, I would be super interested in this. On a day where it's up 25 cents, I can't be. I will add it though to be tracked in the Discord because I am intrigued. And if you see something like that, dude, please tell us. Tell the community in Discord. Tell me in this channel when something like this happens, and like if we get down to here and test this. Because from a financial standpoint, this looks like a decent company. Their earnings are in 6 days. And so maybe we don't get another opportunity and they just go up. Satellite operator GlobalStar souls after agreement with Apple. If you guys have more of the fundamentals on this one, I'm very curious. I would hate to bet on a satellite company, though, if they're any kind of competition to SpaceX. But outside of that, very interesting. So let's go ahead and add this one real quickly in the channel. I've got to sort some of these too by alphabetically. I'll do that later. But let's put this one in there too. I think it's worthy. Let me do this. GSAT chart. Let's pin it. And yeah, you guys feel free to talk about this one and let me know if there's any interesting dialogue. I don't know what all happened with their Apple deal and what that's all about, but I am intrigued. All right, let's keep going. GSAT. Oh, wait, somebody said GlobalStar is the SpaceX predecessor. Okay. Dead cat bounce. All right. Yeah. I don't know. Space could have competition for a while. The question is, will they be taking rides? Are they the ones sending the rockets up, or are they just a satellite competitor, like an old legacy system to Starlink? I'd love to know more. If they're just a legacy system to Starlink, then, or they're shooting things like, I don't know. There will be competitors, only satellite. Yeah, there will be competitors, but I wouldn't want to go against Starlink. So this one might be a no for me, but interesting. Let me see what else we had in here. Yossi, Hims looks all right. I can just glance at it real quick here. The financials, I think, for Hims are probably okay. I like the fact that Data Invest, I think it's Data Invest. He's an interesting dude. I like him. Our politics probably aren't the same, but this is nice, actually. Look at this. So what I'd be worried about with Hims is this kind of potential, well, I mean, really, when we broke down here, that kind of killed the head and shoulders pattern. So it got back up. Again, we drew this line as a support zone, guys. We drew it as a support zone because we wanted to see Hims hold this. And I dare say it, I think they're going to hold the week at this level. And then this would be a great area to go higher. And what I would say is, I would almost say if we looked at a shorter time frame like the daily, that this is a left shoulder, this is the head, and that we're completing the right shoulder right now. And if I were to draw that line, I would do something like this, right? I would do something like this as far as the breakout zone, maybe something like that. And I would turn that red. And then I would look over here and I would draw the depth, which perfectly bounced off the fib. And I would draw that to the neckline. And maybe I'll be conservative and I'll call this the neckline. But I would maybe be looking for something like this on Hims. This is not bad looking at all. So the measured move I'd have for Hims, I think we're getting to the 36, maybe 38 range. But I think 36, guys. I think 36 is inbound on Hims. I really do. I'm going to save that. Soaring shitty. Talking about HIMS too. Yep. CleanSpark doing good. Yeah, we should look at some of the miners actually and other. Let's do that. So Bitcoin is still doing good, I think. Yeah, looking real strong. 71.5. Beautiful. It's gotten even better, right? So now it's officially up almost 4% since it's low in the last 24 hours. Let's look at MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy getting that nice 3.54 bounce. I'm loving the MSTU I bought yesterday, guys. Again, I put that out there for subscribers on X right away, and I put it in the Discord channel too. I'm liking that MSTU. It's probably up what? It's a 2x fund, so 8% right now. Not bad. MSTR looking nice today, guys. What's the premium on it, though? What's the multiplier? What's our NAV? Wish we had that on Sol. I wish there was a good calculator that somebody created. I'm too lazy for that shit myself. 2.88. So, again, people getting really optimistic on MicroStrategy again. Mara up 3%, so not as much. But, again, nice curve pattern here, guys. Probably testing up to the 50 again at the 19 range. This is what you want to see. This is really pretty. Let's go to the weekly here real quick. So, again, this resistance zone technically could be drawn lower. I want to look at the daily first, though, before I redraw it. So I have this built off of the daily. Even though this part right here is a little high on the right, I should probably do something like this. And then maybe pull this up, change the angle, but then pull it down. Yeah, that's probably better. This is a better reflection of the current resistance sitting in front of us. So let me just jump back to the weekly at least again. But this is nice. This is what you want to see. We had this descending, and again, we overshot it. I'll probably just adjust this a little bit to better reflect it visually that it's not a descending triangle. So we'll draw this up here. And so, again, this is a descending wedge. We like that, those breakout bullish, and the majority of the time. And so I could see us testing the 200 weekly moving average again. I could see us grinding around here and then eventually hitting over here at 21. And then it's just a rocket ship to 25. And then it's a test to the 30s again. So this is looking tight on Mara. CleanSpark, it's a bigger market cap than CleanSpark, though. So remember that. It's like almost double, I think. Market cap, $2.84 billion for CleanSpark. We back tested on the weekly time frame. We back tested the 200 moving average. That's perfect. I'm just going to get rid of the MACD and the RSI. I'm not focused too much on those right now. But I do think, again, I've kind of already drawn this. We have this inverse head and shoulder, and it's basically done that perfectly, right? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and we started to pull back up. We went down, tested one more time, and I think we're going to go back up again. Measured move for this gets us up towards the 20s. So we're looking at a quick double on CleanSpark. Jesse, ArcG, would you DCA now? Nah, not really. If I'm going to DCA, if I was DCAing like I did yesterday when I put $60,000 in, it would be into the Bitcoin space and like maybe Robinhood and stuff like that. And that's what I did. But CleanSpark looks ready to double like overnight. Very excited about that. Cypher, let's look over here real quick. Cypher up 7% on the day. Not a bad number. Very bullish. Again, the impulse is we want to get back above 6. When we do that, it's a quick trip to almost $8, just like we did not too long ago in July. Let's look at Bitfarms, because I actually like Bitfarms better as a company, because they're not dumb enough to sell their fucking Bitcoin to buy miners at this stage. So tell me what you really think, Jesse. All right. Oh, God, Bitfarms looks so sweet right now, guys. Just look at this. Look at this. Look at that. Just the test we did there. And this is on the weekly time frame. I'm going to probably redraw this on the daily. It's a little bit higher on the daily, so let me redraw it there. It's not like perfectly up to where it was, because I do want to reflect the daily time frame here more accurately. That's real close. Let's just pull it up just a little more. Right there. Okay, cool. So again, this thing, to me, this is tried and true and tested, and looks like it wants to go higher. Let's bring it back to the weekly here. Save it. So this thing, to me, looks like it's ready to rock. So why is this green line, this descending line here? It's because of this, right? What was previous resistance, and we'll just redraw it a little bit. What was previous resistance over here and over here and over here, turned into support here. Couldn't be support, but caught its way back up over here. So kind of turned into support just over a longer time frame. Came back down, turned into support in a wicked way over here, turned into support here, and then turned into support over here. So you know what I'm going to call it? Sport. I'm going to call it sport. And we're down. We're only up 3.52. We had this impulse up to 2.33. But I would say that this is a signal that the amount that we went up here before we got slammed back down is signal, and it's signal that it wants to go higher. It just got rejected off of peak volumes. You can see this red line here. But that's going to change, and this thing's going to start to fly in the near future, in my opinion. Once we break this 250 range up here, it's going to be a real fast trip to 387. Very, very quick. And if Bitcoin got to 92, I'd be surprised if this thing wasn't near the sevens. That's how I feel right now. Okay? Or at least on its way between 550 and 7. And that's a good number. All right. Let me see here. It's 9:40. I might do a few more. Let's see here real quick. If you want a butchered Israeli stock, SEDG, I'm interested. Very interested in Israeli plays. They pretty much cleaned the clock in the Middle East. And so I've got a feeling I feel like their stock market could have it's contrary to what Jim Cramer was saying earlier, talking about Europe having a resurgence outside of Germany. That's just fucking stupid. I could see Israel having a resurgence. Because, again, after the whole invasion, going to war thing, they took a hit. And you can see it in all of their stocks, right? What is this one, though? SolarEdge? What is this one? How Hood or PayPal calls at these prices? That's tough, actually. Probably PayPal? Probably PayPal. BGZ. Probably PayPal. But that's tough. They both got pretty butchered. But let me look here real quick. Why did revenues plummet? What is this company? They're solar. So they've got to worry about China. So that part sucks. They got to worry about Chinese dumping. And you could see, I don't know if this is just companies not buying from Israel because of the war, or if this is China, or both. But we do see estimates going up. We see them getting closer to positive net income. I do see solar doing better in the future, and their people are buying back shares. Maybe not in huge numbers, but I mean 60,000, 61,000, 65,000, 32,000. Insiders are buying back. Short interest was high, but it's in decline. Institutional ownership is growing. That's telling to me that the institutions are like, these guys might have lost favor, but this company is going to be great in the future. Revenue by region. What regions have been declining for them? The U.S. Did we really stop buying solar panels from them because of the war? It's increased in other parts of Europe. It's increased in Germany. It's increased in the went down about comparable in the Netherlands. Italy went down a little bit. Rest of the world is seeing growth. Huh. Stock-based comp is 14%. Not a great number. What was their operating leverage? Yeah, that revenue just got fucking destroyed in Q2 of 2023. I'd be more curious to find out why. Q2 of 2023. It's really before the invasion. So what happened back then? Can you tell me what happened back then? Oh, duh. I probably know. They probably suffered the same things that every solar company suffered. Increased rates. So there's probably some of that. There's the war, and there's China dumping solar. Do these guys create panels, or do they do SolarEdge technologies advances while market declines? Some information for investors. This is interesting, though. Yeah. Yeah, and it's a combination of all those things, right? So this could be an interesting play. What was their net income? I mean, they had two really good quarters. I don't know if we can look at that. 24 million, then 140 million, 120 million. I could see this turning around. Megawatts shipped just plummeted. Power optimizers shipped. I don't know enough about the actual company, but it's interesting. CleanSpark's running. Debo, which one were you talking about? Is that for this company? MB says SEDG is a massive opportunity. Financials look horrible because of overproduced in 2023 and still getting rid of inventory. Their valuation is probably way lower than their assets. Interesting. 1.1 billion enterprise versus market cap of 1 billion. But you're right. If they're getting all that behind them, that in and of itself with lowering rates could be good. It's just whether or not they can fight off Chinese competition. Nanya Biz says, Jesse, can you look at Riley? I don't know if I'll get to that one, actually. Jesse Kranyak, surging on news and federal loan impending. DOE loan closing still pending, earnings next week. Can you check Discord NNDM channel now? Did you guys already put a bunch of stuff in there? I got to sort this by alphabetically, so I got to fix that. I've got it down at the bottom, but Jesus. Oh, no messing around. Nice summary, man. Customers, SpaceX, military defense, Amazon, Tesla. Wow, dude. You got me excited just with that. Reminds me of you, Jesse. Street smart, passionate, caring, straight to the point for the CEO. Cash $430 million, revenue $60 million. Good news. Bought Desktop Metal, bought Market Forged, will bring revenue up to $300 to $400 million once allowed to report recently acquired companies' revenues. Stock buybacks, gross margins almost 50%. AI products and parents for 3D printing technology. Bad news. Net income still negative, but they say operating positive in 2025. Well, I mean, that sounds like good news to me. Asymmetric gains potential 5 to 10x, considering a January. I mean, you might not be bad. It sounds like you've done your own research, man. If you already know how to use the options calculator, you might want to pick something up. I'll probably do more research into this, and I might create a members video. If I get a bump in some other stuff, it sounds like I'm going to, that I'm okay selling, I might be interested in this one. Great job, though. Love you guys. Oh, and then you guys put this in here, too. I should actually I'm going to pin this one, Shale. Thank you for putting that in there, too. This is why I love the Discord so much. You guys are fucking awesome. The fact that we already have the chart in here for people to look at, my chart, and a nice summary of the company, and ARC's fund print holding this company along with other 3D printing companies that might be opportunities is fascinating. You guys are great. Thank you so much. We might have to do more of these later, guys. Looks like people are talking a lot of 3D companies in here, too. Debo said EOS is essentially pre-revenue. Happy to talk to you through the thesis. I've heard the thesis. I've been hearing it for a couple of years now. I've just watched the stock get diluted like crazy. I might throw a chart in Discord, though, to get more detail. I'm not super optimistic about it. You think First Solar's better position, Matanga, than SEDG? Okay. Legolas, hey Jesse, may know what indicator activated in TradingView, the one on the right side of your screen. First off, if you guys don't pay for it, so it's premium. You have to have premium for TradingView, but it's a little spendy. So if I was you, I would wait because they have a Black Friday sale in like 2 or 3 weeks. That's anywhere from 50 to like 70, 75% off. It's a wicked sale. So I encourage people, if you're going to get interested in it, so that indicator is the, God, why is this just escaping me right now? Let me go over to it. Maybe it'll help. The visible range volume indicator, or profile. So that's what's on the right over here. It gives you an idea of where you're going to have resistance and support zones. You get that with premium. You will not get it without it. So I would wait until Black Friday, and I'll throw out a code. I should get one here from TradingView, and I'll throw out a code and then get it then. Or other people do, like my buddy Jake, other people that use TradingView a lot, they'll solicit them and say, hey, throw it out. So I would wait until then. DLO down on my purchase. Yeah, I am too. It has not done well. The financials, let's see how they did last quarter. I haven't looked at it in a while. I will look at this one real quick. Again, there's a reason this was like 1% of my portfolio. It's because it's one of these things where like NNDM, I have a lot of interest in it, and it looks like it's going to do good, but the price might not be great right now. So net revenue retention is falling on this. I don't know if that's a reason why people aren't liking it. Cash flow has been falling recently too. Operating expenses haven't been scaling very well. They're doing a lot of R&D, but I don't like the general and administrative expenses being so high. They haven't been doing a lot of share dilution recently. Their revenue did drop for a couple of quarters. I think that's probably hurting them. Transaction payment volume's going up. Pay-ins and payouts are looking pretty good. Net income was all right, 46 million out of 171 million. The PE is only 15. That's pretty low. But again, this is like this is something where if the U.S. economy is doing good and we're risk on, it's going to benefit really well, I think. But without it, I don't think it will. I don't like that institutional ownership has been in decline since 2022. And I don't like that institutional, or I should say short interest, skyrocketed. And since like, what is it, June of 2024, July? Really, July, it just skyrocketed and got higher. So I don't know if that's like telling of something that's going on with accounting practices. The revenue estimates are picking back up again. So if they hit these, that's good. Their EPS looks good. Their EBIT looks good. All this stuff looks good as far as what they're projecting. The real question now is, are they going to do it? Local to local is going up for their TBV breakdown instead of cross-border traffic. What dropped? What dropped over here? So Brazil dropped. Brazil is... Oh, I fucking hate that place. I hate communism so much. So that dropped. We also saw a drop in Egypt. So I don't know. I don't know where these guys end up. I don't know where they end up. I do like the operating leverage is still really good. I think if they continue to outperform, this is such a beautiful looking chart outside of this dip down, but it looks like it could start curling up. So I really love the operating leverage on this one. Take rates going down, but I still think there's probably so much growth potential here. And it's not like it's growing with like 100 PE. Or forward PE, it's 15.77. So I still like it. Let's look at the actual stock, though, because I do. Let me see if I can have this one. And then I'll probably call it after this, guys. It's been 3 hours or something. Yeah, let me pull it up here. Legola 7, before I go into here, says, besides negative operating income, probably operating cash flow too. Anything other than that bugs me about the NNDM from that excerpt. Is there business-to-business customer mix? Need more detail on concentration risk in their revenue. Yeah, that's always helpful. INMD, also a possible Israeli play, but growth is not amazing right now. We can check that maybe next time. So DLO, I feel like this is in consolidation, guys, and we're getting ready to break higher. I do have this on here for a reason. And if you look, again, we're underneath this peak in volume right here, but honestly, it seems like we're consolidating in this range and finding support on it consistently while trying to break down. Like, look at this. We did try and break down here. Could we do that one more time? Yes. But if we wick back up again, then this is a really good-looking consolidation, in my opinion, where it's just very clean. This is a very clean consolidation, and it looks like it wants to go higher. So I honestly think that this thing is getting ready to break out and go up. Now, I had a $35 call strike on this because I think I was over here when I got interested in it. I don't even remember. I'd have to look at the dates and the times. Maybe it was over here. But it's just been grinding sideways forever, and 35 seems a long way off. Now, if we get up to 13, 35 won't seem far at all, and we could easily go, I would say, up to 16. But the question is, and those are January 2026 calls, so if we get up to 16, you know, I don't know, in the next 8-9 months, then those calls are probably going to retrace and do a lot better than they have been doing. But and that's off of a 90% move to the upside. And again, if we get back in this channel, then we will be breaking out of a downward channel that goes all the way back to August of 2023. I don't know if it goes up even more than that. It might. I didn't draw all the lines, but... And then we have a gap on this thing all the way up to 44. I don't know why it's so cheaply valued. Either there's something we're not seeing here, like accounting fraud or some other weirdness, or just, again, people not willing to speculate a lot in American markets. I don't know. But I don't know the fundamentals of this company really well. I just know the financials look great to me. CleanSpark news? What CleanSpark news? Let me go back over. Just in, CleanSpark officially adding a new rig supplier, Canaan. Oh, cool. All right. Purchasing 3,800 immersion cooling miners. No, I didn't know that. Let me put it out there. Thank you, Rex Finance. He loves his CleanSpark. I mean, I do too. But let me just add this in here. Maybe this is why this one was... Did you guys say this was breaking out? We'll look at stocks one more time here just to see how they're doing before we say levy. So let me just get in here real quick. So let's sort. So Soul Strategies crushing it. Riot doing all right, up 6%, 5.7 on Cypher. MSTU 4.55, Coin 4.41, CleanSpark 4%, Iron 3.5, Bitfarms 2.6. Seems like a nice little bounce day in miners. Still underperforming Bitcoin, at least recently here. Let's see. Palantir up 1.78. It's going to struggle to get above 45. Definitely, I don't think it'll get above 50. See how the rest are doing here. Tesla is up 0.71. Cool. A lot of stuff up today. BABA down, as it should be. SoFi down. PayPal down still, 2.72. All right. All right, guys. I think it's been interesting. I hope you all have a great weekend. We'll see if I end up doing a weekend stream here. I probably am going to do the one with Carlos and the finance junkies on Sunday. I think it's 1 p.m. Central Time. Just talking about politics, kind of a pre-election stream. And then again, I will be hosting election night. I don't know how many hours I'll do. I'd be surprised if it's less than 4 hours or 5 hours. We'll see. I'll probably do it for a while. Make sure you go out and vote, guys, for sure. Like Mike says, make sure you go out and vote. And I think today's probably going to be a pretty good update. It's really all about the election. It's all about the election now, guys. I love you. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Let's see. What do we want to talk about today? Today's a buy the dip day, I feel like. I feel like today's a buy the dip day. So let's do that. Peace out, guys. Love you. Bye.
Lil Bubble, let me ride that rocket.
Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Oh. Buy that fucking dip. Dump it on the top and spit. Buy that shit. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. When it drops, better cop. Let it fucking rip. People love the pump. Yeah. Got them lining up. Wow. See us winning, FOMO in and YOLO by the top. Dream of Lamborghini. Girlfriend in bikini. Front covered Forbes magazine is where you'll see me. Oh, what? How? Price went down. Who will save us now? Felt like a hero. Now the fear is here and it's clear it's deep into zero. Yeah. Hands weak, bags heavy, and I'm ready to forget about already all the hopes and the dreams. So puke your position like mom spaghetti. I'm hungry and got long cash on the ready to just buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Oh. Buy that fucking dip. Dump it on the top and spit. Buy that shit. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. When it drops, better cop. Let it fucking rip. When there's people crying, that's when I'll be buying. Yeah. When they tell you their investment conviction is dying. Oh no. But the market's dead. Yeah. That's what TV man said. It's time to sell it, walk away and sit in cash instead. Pump, what? Price go up. Guess that's just your luck. Sold at the bottom of ladder, you gotta learn how to hold under whatever money you're gonna earn and not get shaken out when they run the stops. Although it tends to pretend through the dips and the bends, you know the trend is your friend all the way to the end. So I buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Oh. Buy that fucking dip. Don't dump it on the top and spit. Buy that shit. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. When it drops, better cop, let it fucking rip. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Oh. Buy that fucking dip. Dump it on the top and spit. Buy that shit. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. Buy that fucking dip. Yeah. When it drops, better cop, let it fucking rip.